He actually chooses the level instead. This is super interesting. Very surprising that he's still trying to start to win his rounds. Well, especially considering since other people have also leveled at this point and he hasn't won his first round.
I mean, it kind of goes back to what we've been talking about previously, where lose streaking right now in the lobbies and how good they've been so far. If you get yourself into a position where you're just losing and losing and losing, it's really hard to come back from. So he could have been watching these matches and seeing that playing aggressive early, giving up some economy and just maintaining that HP is more important than it is in normal gameplay. And he's still technically losing right now, but it's just not as harsh as it would be.
Yeah, I don't know. I see your point in not losing too much HP, but I just feel like this lobby has been high rolling quite a lot, and also pushing as far as leveling and spending money for that is a little bit over the top. He still has a 3-round lose streak. Can definitely go into that. He's not hitting his interest points. Either way, land is open forting here. Basically, he's kind of dividing between whether he should open for it or not, but it seems like he's gonna shoot something in between, hoping he can maybe kill off a unit before he loses his round.
Yeah, he's got the Glacier Knights Beast Warrior kind of. He just has a lot of pairs right now, is what he's looking at. But the thing is that we've talked about committing a little bit already, and it's kind of hard to have so much gold on your bench. Although he does have over 10 gold, so he's hitting that interest point like we talked about previously, and still losing at the same time. And then he has that priest in there in order to kind of protect that HP as much as he can as well. And Miss Peace still doing perfectly fine with the 2-star Soulbreaker, as we suspected.
Yeah, actually. Early Thunder Spirit here and the Sharp Prison as well. So maybe looking to go into Dragon Natures. We see a Venom also.
Something we haven't seen too much of is Assassins being played, and looks like he is obviously using them now, but picking up a pair of Phantom Queens to go along with the pair of Soul Breakers on the bench, and then also throwing in the Shadow Caller as well.
Something that's always nice to think about, especially in the early game, is that you want to enable synergy for the unit that is your strongest unit. So right now, Miss Peace's strongest unit is that Soul Breaker. So you want to enable that unit as much as possible. And Miss Peace is actually using both of Soul Breaker's synergies, both the Goblin one and the Assassin one. Trying to harvest as much power out of that unit as possible. Kong still at 100% here, also hits his interest point. I would really like to see what Kong is working with to stay as strong in this lobby. He's working with a ton of 2-stars, actually 2 2-star Tusk champions. This is a little scary for the rest of the players.
Yeah, he's got the 2-star Tusk champion in the back to kind of catch those assassins that he's seeing from Miss Peace, because he knows that he's the 100%er, and then the one person right below him, which is Miss Peace, is running an assassin comp as well. So he does have that protection. He throws in a little egg assist, which is also really good early game at the same time. And he had those 2-stars super early, so it's no surprise that he's still going 100%. I would imagine that he's going to continue this streak for a little bit longer.
A little interesting to see what he's going to go into here, because there's a little bit of everything. There's a few hunters in the back. There's also those 2 Tusk champions, which usually means you want to go into Beast Warriors. However, he doesn't really have any other good warriors. He has one Abyssal Guard on his bench, but that's about it. So I think Kong is going to have some decisions to need to make some decisions which route he's going to go.
Kong actually does in fact lose his streak on that round, but you do see that the Tusk champion in the back did catch those assassins very nicely and ends up going ahead and selling the Evil Knight there to probably get over interest here at 20 gold, round 10, I would assume. Actually, he's going to buy a Thunder Spirit instead, so he's going to be looking into mages, I would assume.
Yeah.
Especially with the Skybreaker on the bench too. It's not the worst thing in the world to go with the God of War right next to it.
You might see these 2 Tusk champions and thinking, oh, he's going to commit into Tusk and Beast Warrior, but he doesn't have to at all. At this point, they're just nice 2 2-star units. You can always sell them for full retail value if you do sell them, because they're both 1-cost units. So you can definitely go into that direction without it being too painful, honestly. And this is one of the really good ways to go into mages. If you have a strong start, have a bit of a win streak, but especially you want to conserve that HP, so you make sure you get into the late game. Mages can definitely be one of the stronger comps, and we have seen them failing a bit previously. So this is going to be an interesting new way to kind of go into mages.
Yes,
well.
Speaking about interesting, looking at lands bench, he did actually do that creep round with double demons, and because there's double demons, the synergy doesn't actually activate with the Fallen Witcher in there. I'm not sure if he maybe made a mistake on it, or if he was genuinely thinking that would be a better option. He did end up winning just barely by 1 unit,
right.
So it doesn't really make too much of a difference here, but still hanging on to those pair of swordmans there, but it looks like he's going to go Glacier Knight, and I think he's pretty much committing at this point here.
Yeah, for sure. I kind of like Lan's position. He's going to have 50 gold very early, and he's had that priest for almost the entirety of the game, so the damage he's taken has been reduced by quite a lot.
Yeah, he's at 62% HP, still at 40 gold, round 11. Not really in the worst position, but he needs to start. He needs to start picking up those units that he has pairs of and putting them to work now and kind of keeping things where they're at.
Not just really pressuring this lobby. We saw him previously aggressively level, even though he lost his first 3 rounds. But he, as we said that, the round afterwards, he did hit his swordsman too, which is a big upgrade for him. And he also has found the free hunters if he wants to. He's playing the Skybreaker instead. It's a little interesting. Instead of he actually only has a Wind Ranger, so doesn't have 3 hunters yet. But that would be quite a nice upgrade for him. If
I think I would almost still use the Skybreaker 2-star, even if I did have 3 hunters, just because that Skybreaker 2-star is providing a front line for the hunters and mainly the dwarf sniper there. And you do see that he's also protecting himself against the assassin players in the lobby as well. And he's honestly in a much better situation at 87% HP, 21 gold after leveling up there instead of just kind of submitting to that loose streak early game round like 5 or 6, I think it was, when he actually ended.
Here we actually see a bunch of soul breakers as we talked about previously. Now there is 2-star soul breakers. Could we get a 3-star? There's one more on the bench, and this is something we saw Disown did a lot in the qualifiers, where he went actually for a 3-star soul breaker quite a lot. It's a powerful unit right until the late game, so interesting to see here.
Yeah,
also
and
going
just
for
throwing
those,
in the dragons in there. All he needs is
keeping the assassins also.
So he had to level up, and he can throw mages in as well with the addition of
mage
the
assassin. I've seen this before, haven't I? I think, is this the mage assassin? There's no spirits, I guess. There's not stone spirit anymore, but
it's a little different.
It's a little different, but it is a lot easier now with Winter Chiropteron because it's both a mage and a dragon. So it's easy to add Venom and Shining Dragon and get that third mage also with your assassin. If you get Fennel Queen, also nice with Water Spirit because it also has magic damage. So maybe something to look into. Probably a little bit too late at this point of the game.
Just a quick look at the gold obtained here. We do have land, of course. Loose streaking always gives you a heavy advantage as long as there's not 100% win streaking player on the board as well. But land now is still super far away from anything that he really needs. Of course, he has a bunch of pairs, but at this point, 44% HP, you would think that he would have at least a couple 2-stars by now, but right now, round 14, he has 0 2-star units on the board.
Yeah, this is going to be an important round, but he is level 7 already, so he has leveled up, and after this round, he's going to have more than 50 gold, so I think he's going to do 1 or 2 rolls to make sure he does defeat the wolf round, and he should be able to find a few pairs here in the coming round. Or, I'm sorry, should be able to combine a few 2-stars with the pairs he does have.
I really think if he doesn't start spending some of that gold,
he does have the chance now, right? He's gonna roll.
Being
now.
a little too greedy. Of course, right now it's a creep round, so I don't think he's going to do anything right now. But going into round 16, I don't think you want to drop any lower than 35% HP. So you need to take that advantage. He has such a huge gold obtained advantage over everybody else in the lobby that he needs to start putting that to work and saving his HP right now. So as you see, 111. Nudge is the closest one behind at 95, even after leveling round 5, right?
No, he did lose 3 times, and I think he haven't lost ever since.
Yeah.
I think he's still on a pretty long win streak after that. Yeah, no, I feel like Land perfected the way he got his interest because he's going to have exactly 2 rounds to get his 2-stars, if you will. So now it's really going to be... We're really going to see how quickly Land can find some more upgrades to not lose more life. it's going to be a crucial moment. And hopefully for him, he doesn't have to spend too much gold to kind of catch up in the game.
I just don't want him to be a little too greedy here.
Ranger. That's fine. Does find a 2-star Silverblade Knight. Does sell the Aggressive Ranger because it does find the Soul Reaper instead. So that could be a big upgrade with the Silverblade Knight, taking full advantage of that Aggressive bonus. Does not have an Evil Knight so far. Maybe he did miss that. Still isn't going below 50 gold, so hoping he's strong enough with those two core units that are both real nice carries, as we've seen in this couple of games.
Yeah, I think this goes back to a little bit of actions per minute. I know he did pick up a few of his upgrades, so he doesn't necessarily need to, but it looks like he has a 2-star Desperate Doctor, but didn't actually level it up in time.
No, you're right, completely. Seems like he's gonna play against one of the little weaker Knight players that is only level 6, being Soinu.
Yeah, that's fine. I think right now, though, Land still just needs to make sure that he's win streaking from here on out. The rest of the game as much as he possibly can. If he doesn't get that win streak going really quickly and he starts to middle a little bit at this point, he's going to see himself just starting to bleed until he's
Look at this,
not able to come back.
crushing it after he started winning again. He's just been continuously winning, has an 8-round win streak at this point. Does go up to 8 alongside Yang. Quicker than everybody else. We still see Mispiece being at level 6. Same with Soinu. This is crazy. There's a big difference between the levels here. Mispiece actually does have that Soulbreaker 3, so he's actually gonna be a lot stronger than you would imagine. Also has tons of different synergies here. He does have 3 mages, 3 assassins, and 3 dragons. So Mispiece is really strong here, actually.
We do see Mispiece as well as Zoin, who's still being level 6, but Nuge actually going up to 8. So as we talked about previously of him actually pressuring the lobby, he's leveling aggressively, spending his gold on certainty instead of gambling with rolling. So I think he's actually playing this just fine. He's also going into Hunters, which is a much better build at a higher level as well. And for him to be level 8, in order to kind of fit all the pieces in as well, as it's actually super smart, and he's still at 49 gold as well.
Notch actually lost this round, and he was unlucky enough to play the other level 8 player, being Young. And Young actually spent a lot more gold than Nudge has so far, so Nudge actually lost his win streak, which he must be beating himself up for happening. Yeah, I mean, unfortunate for him.
It does happen. It's one of those kind of decisions you have to make. If there's a majority of the players in the lobby that you think that you can beat, if you don't just get put up against that 1 or 2 that you can't beat in order to maintain that win streak. And he does actually do just fine
against Land.
Yeah.
So Land must have gotten quite a lot of upgrades since we talked about him with his losing. Let's have a look at Land, see what he's working with. If he got those upgrades, he does have
2-star Soul Reaper already as well.
Wow.
Really nice.
Yeah, that is early. Yeah, he's looking actually quite strong at this point. I don't think Land has spent an insane amount of money, especially now at the round before the creep round. I do think he's going to go up to 8 at the creep round and really try to find and try to roll down a little bit, because he does want to increase his power level even more, I think.
Yeah, with Nudge being level 8 already, and pretty much the rest of the lobby going to join that at round 21. In Land's position, he does just need to continue to maintain pace on level with everybody else. So going round 21 or level 8 around 21 is definitely going to be important for him. And then trying to get Zoinhu to kind of catch up with everybody else, still being level 6 as well, is something that he needs to start thinking about.
Yeah, for sure, for sure.
But we do have 2 nice Glacier players, one being Zoinhu, the other one being Land. And I mean, Zoinhu doesn't necessarily have that. He's not as healthy as you would think he would be for being in a similar type situation with Land, but just going for a little bit different strategy where he's not leveling up.
Yeah.
But between 6 and 7, you still have the same chance of getting your 2-star, 2-cost 3-star units.
Mispiece actually does find that Water Spirit and does pick it up. That is kind of the better assassin for this comp, as this comp builds on having heavy burst damage with your assassin, as well as your units with a lot of magic damage. And you actually use both Phantom Queen and Water Spirit, which has a huge amount of burst magic damage as well as that physical damage, together with that mage bonus. And then to top it off, you have the dragon bonus to add to even more burst, as the dragons both pop off at the beginning of the round. So this is kind of a neat little synergy-based setup that actually synergizes a lot with. He's only level 7, but he actually has 3 different synergies. So
taking a look at the items here, we definitely see that Sweet Pea is a little bit behind everybody else in the lobby. Just a couple of shields, and that's about it. Where we do see guys like Land with the Heaven's Gift already, a Frantic Mask, and Magica Crystals, Cattle Hide Armors, all these different items. Even Zoin, who's not too far behind there. We have Nuge, also high roll. Pretty much. I mean, there's items all around. I would just say that Sweet Pea is kind of the odd man out there.
No, definitely. Nuge, yeah, still going for the Hunter Warrior front line. Of course, does have 4 warriors. Does find that Doom R-body too. So he might stay here at 40 gold, thinking that he's gotten enough of a increase in power level. Land actually stays at 35%, so good on him. Mispeel is still up there. I wonder what Sizzle is working with. Is he going for the... I think so. I think Sizzle is going for the Goblin Gamble, actually.
Yeah, he's Goblin Gambling right now. He is level 8, so he does have a chance of getting Devastator. He currently has 3 out of 6 goblins, so he's still looking for a couple more, like Venomancer, and he has the, I mean, he has the Soul Breakers on the bench, but we already see a 3-star Soul Breaker in the game, so it is kind of hindering him a little bit. I do like this play here, adding in the Fortune Teller, just to kind of basically give himself a little bit more time to get the Devastator.
Yeah.
But I mean, at 28% HP, he doesn't really have that much time, so he's gotta be sweating here.
Taking 20% less damage is gonna help him hit interest points for more turns. Maybe going up to 9 even to increase his chances to find Devastator, because finding a specific legendary unit at level 8 is very, very hard.
Yeah, for Sizzle right now, this is a really tough spot for him to be in. He needs not only just the Devastator, but like you said, he also needs the Venomancer and a couple other things to kind of go in his way. Zoin, who though, kind of a level behind the entire match so far, 7 compared to everybody else being 8. So that's just something that it starts to wear on you. He is just 1 Hell Knight away from a 3-star Hell Knight, so that would be a huge upgrade, but he currently just doesn't have the gold or the space to do anything right here. So ends up having to sell something. He's probably gonna. Oh, he did get his 3-star Hell Knight just to
took a bit of a gamble there.
Sell there, yeah, absolutely, and was able to kind of make work. He sold one of his Soul Reapers, by the way.
Which is a big loss, honestly. Soul Reaper 2 is really good at night, so he really felt like he needed that extra push and took a chance basically to try it here and now.
I do like this play,
though. That might save him a ton of life.
Yeah, it's going to save him a ton of life, and just like Land, you don't really want to go down below 30% HP.
Yeah.
So
risky, but
not too bad.
Maybe needed. Yeah.
Again, risky is an understatement, because that Soul Reaper is 4 gold.
Yeah.
It takes 2 gold to roll down and 2 gold to buy a Hell Knight. So he needed it to just be perfect. And it kind of worked out. Yeah.
All right, Sweet Pea now at level 8. He's rolling with Beast Warriors here. Very classic build of Beast Warrior. Does have that 2-star Wormy Boy, of course. Does find 3-star Swordsman. That's a super nice upgrade for him, for sure. One of the strongest units to get to 3-star.
Yeah. Also just 1 away from a 3-star Tusk, and potentially just adding in a 4th beast as well when he finds one, or potentially a Warlock as well, because he does have a lot of damage from Swordman as well as Doom, so he could benefit from Warlock almost more so than the 4th
100%,
beast.
100%. Yeah, let's have a look at Sizzle, see if he's gonna be able to actually stay alive here until he does find his Devastator, or if he has found it. Jang also taking damage here, losing against 8 of Soin U's team. Yeah, that's
Yeah, Sizzle's still hanging on. Yang actually dropping down to 4% HP as well. We haven't seen too much from him, but he's going with that Hunter Feather build that we just haven't just had the best luck with, unfortunately. And
this is, if there's one build me Claytana doesn't like, it's this build. We have plenty of experience with this,
which with two-star Whispers here selling your Unicorn might not have been...
Maybe
okay, so he did pick up another one.
All
so
right.
just in case if he does get a Razor Claw, he will be able to combine them together, but it was a little risky.
Agree.
And maybe not necessarily needed on a creep round.
No, I agree. There might be a little bit of panic here for Yang being this slow on the biggest stage of them all. Not just the big stage, but the one and only biggest stage. But yeah, we had plenty of experience from this build at the qualifiers. And the metagame was a little different there, but not too different. And it was losing a lot. And since then, it's actually received a nerf. And also, I think the metagame has become even more hostile towards that setup. So not really surprised we see at the bottom of this lobby.
Yeah, but sometimes going back to what we've talked about previously of just like trying to get into fourth, it's not the worst decision to do, but at the same time, if you don't have all of your 3-star units already at round 26, you should have not only just your 3-star Warpwood Sage, but your 3-star Whisper Seer, maybe even a 3-star Razor Claw at this point as well. But he's just too far behind, and it's going to be the end for Yang here going out at 8th. Sizzle not too far behind here, dropping down to land, which...
That's going to take 10.
Yeah, it takes 10, so he still hangs on to 2%. Nudge actually following right behind now at 30%. So a little bit of a split between rank 6 and 7 right now.
Land still has that 35%. As we talked about earlier, this is the perfect place to turn it around.
Yeah,
he had those 2 rounds to get these units. He hit him, he pushed, and now he's still here at 35%. 9-round win streak. This is the way you lose streak, kids at home. Just watch this man with lose streak. This is the way you do it.
Yeah, he did make a couple gamble decisions there to not roll down past 50. It was a little
gamble,
scary.
no future.
Okay, it's a little scary, but it is paying off for him in this situation. Picking up a 3-star Lightblade Knight.
Have a look at Sizzle, see if he can survive this round. This is gonna... No, he's gonna fall to Nudge here. Nudge is one of the stronger plays. Was one of the stronger plays on this lobby. It's actually fallen down to last place now that Sizzle is out. So this is kind of the symptom, however, of the way that Nudge was playing, is that he spent a lot of gold early to then streak. But then since you spend a lot of gold early, that could come back to haunt you in terms of money gained later in the game. We actually see him in the middle of the pack in terms of total money gained. So it's one of the reasons why you see him fall off a little bit here in the later mid game.
Zoinhu now with the 3-star Defector as well as the 3-star Hell Knight that we've seen already. But I was wondering, did Nuge WK's Siren go off twice? I'm not sure if he had a refresher orb on that or not. It might have just been in my head when he was up against Sizzle, but maybe we could take a look at that next round here. Nuge actually getting dropped by Miss Peace down to 5% HP, so he's seen his lead dwindle within a matter of about 5 rounds here. He was at the top of the board, and then just right down here now in
it is a refresher
6%. Yeah, so like I saw, refresher orb on Siren there. He was able to freeze the Heaven Bomber from Sizzle a couple times, so that's a huge pickup for him, especially in a Hunter build. He just needs to get himself that 2-star Dark Spirit as well as the 2-star Pirate Captain.
The problem against a team like Sweet Pea is his team is a little bit too squishy against him. He doesn't have a lot of really tanky units. The only one is a little tanky is Doom Arbiter, and even Doom Arbiter at a 4-cost unit is not the most tanky 4-star warrior you can have. So against a team like Sweet Pea that's all about the burst, this is a very weak lineup, I'd say. Against that, especially against Sweet Pea. But against some of these other players, I can definitely see him doing a little bit better. This This Silver Blade Knight, however, is just wrecking, and that's going to be it for Nudge WK. Does claim a 6th position here in the first game.
That Siren was really trying that round, and it just
no points for trying, I'm afraid.
No. Well, he got 2 points for trying.
All right, so we here have Kong leading the pack actually in terms of health. That's a ton of Flaming Wizards on the board. Not moving in on that just yet to maybe use a Shiny Egg, considering he does already have a Flaming Wizard 2-star on the board. So maybe looking to 3-star that, putting on a few damage items on her can be a pretty strong carry. But Kong already has a Dragonite, so it's a little bit more likely he will put a bunch of items on that Dragonite.
The front line Tortola Elder is just very bold. I wonder if he's going to keep that going into the PvP round as well for Kong. And he's kind of starting to take it back a little bit, but not too much. It is something that we actually saw 2-2 run pretty early on, which I feel like made sense because it was like round 5 that I think he got a Tortola Elder, so he did put it frontline. But in this situation, he does have a source. He has the mage bonus as well, so maybe cornering it would be a better option for him. But in this case, he does have it pretty far.
I think it's trying to make it so that there's only one unit that can fit in that little hole, so that it helps him a little bit to get his ult off. But I do agree with you that I would prefer to put it on the back line.
Yeah,
he is playing against Soinhu here, and it is, I think, gonna hold. No, the Hell Knight is just gonna survive everything. Let's have a look at that Hell Knight and see what items he does have to be able to be this tanky. Let's have a look at Soinhu's Hell Knight.
We will see it here in a second, but we do have Zoinhu also with kind of close to a 3-star Lightblade Knight of his own, just 3 away now, also 1 away from a 3-star Frost Knight, and now he's just 2 away, also, you know, at 0 gold, so the chance of him actually still getting 2 more Lightblade Knights is a little bit on the low end. Though Land, he's still killing it, 35% HP since round 13 rounds ago. I'm just gonna go with that. And
yeah, this Lightblade Knight is looking good. Does have the attack speed items.
That's a great Lightblade Knight.
Yeah, only needs a few damage items to be like 10 out of 10 basically.
Land also just 1 away from the 3-star Hell Knight, which would, I would say, almost make him unstoppable, because I would actually prefer him over the other Knight Glacier player at
does
that
still
point.
Have 35%. Is he gonna remain at that win streak? He does lose his win streak finally. 13 round win streak, that's a long win streak, and he must be happy about keeping that for that long. Well, unfortunately lose it, of course, but Land is level 9 with 50 gold, so looking really nice. Actually, Miss Peace going up to level 10. Let's have a look at Miss Peace and see the way he has transitioned here. He's still having that 3 assassins, but has kind of slotted in more mages, going up to 6 mages, 3 assassin. Super interesting build. Actually, he has removed, he has removed the Venom now, considering he wants a Dragonite instead. I think this is an interesting option. Do you agree with removing Venom and losing that assassin bonus for your Soulbreaker and your Water Spirit?
I mean, at this point, I think Helicopter is going to do so much damage for you that just throwing him in and giving up that Spirit bonus would also not be the worst.
Or the Soulbreaker, potentially.
Or the Soulbreaker as well. Yeah, the Soulbreaker isn't... I mean, look at the Soulbreaker on the damage chart. About 2,000 damage. You can get double that or possibly triple that from the Helicopter.
With the Venom?
Assassin bonus, I don't think that's going to be as...
good?
Yeah, it's just a crit here and there.
I think it's close. I think it's interesting, yeah.
I still think the Helicopter
this is such a strong Hell Knight. Such a strong Hell. Let's have a look at this Hell Knight. Here we go. So we finally get to see this Hell Knight with that ice armor, making him ever so powerful. Also has an extra block and the Kirax and some magic resistance. So this Hell Knight, you want to make him as tanky as possible. And he's just going to survive the initial burst. Then he will use his extra 50% pure damage and just sweep through the backlines once the kind of initial fireworks have happened, if you will.
Yeah, Zoinhu just praying for that 3-star light blade knight, possibly just trying to get past round 34 to get him into a creep round for a couple more rolls or a couple more chances at it.
And Sonia is also in another issue. That's he's the only level 8 player in this game. All the other players has gone up to 9 or even 10. So without a bank, it's gonna be really hard for Sonia to actually come back, regardless if he finds a light blade knight or not.
Yeah, so Zoinhu is actually going to take
out,
5th here to Sweet Pea, I believe, unless Sweet Pea is in a very similar situation to him. So
Sweet Pea does
actually gets
first.
out 5th.
Wow.
Zoinhu 4th by a matter of milliseconds. I'll just say it's
Zoinhu's
milliseconds.
gotta be happy about that, considering he was 8. There was just no way he was going to continue staying in this game after the next creep round. So
he was behind on levels the entire game. There was I think maybe 2 rounds that he was the same level as the other players in the lobby, and to take an extra 2 points away from this just on a matter of seconds was absolutely crucial for him. So that's one thing for Zoin, who he can just kind of take a sigh of relief that he got out of this one and go into game 2 and 3 with a little bit of a better attitude. So just knowing that he still has a chance at this thing.
No,
it doesn't really have to play from behind either.
Yeah, 2 points is a lot in this close. I mean, we can really see that like players are getting in around 12, 13 points. That's usually the 4th position from the previous group. So
Cloud
2 points is just a big portion of
miss
that.
Piece, and that's actually a huge item for the teams that are left over.
2 Cypher Vice. Let's have a look at the item again. We can get the item tab. I believe we have 2 Cypher Vice for land actually. 1 on Soul Reaper, 1 on Store Shaman. This is insane actually.
Double penguins.
Double penguins. I've never seen 2 Cypher Vice ever. I'll be honest, it's never happened.
I had it a couple days before I came here actually. But it does actually work together.
Must be nice to be in your shoes.
I think a possibility that it can turn the same unit into a penguin.
Right.
Because it is random. But chances are it's not going to.
Kong actually took 21 damage. 21 against Land. So Land is... I think Land is almost locked this game into winning. Land is so powerful now with his items. And he's not even level 10 yet. He has 50 gold. He can go up to level 10.
I think he should do that right now, because it would solidify himself into that first place position and not really mess around with it. 20% HP at round 37 can go like that. You know, it can be done in one round if he gets... Yeah, I mean, we just saw someone take over 20 damage in 1 round. So
that's really 2 different play styles that some leverage their extra HP by leading and having a strong comp by getting more interest points, and others are going for aggressive usage of that money to push the other players out so they don't have a chance to come back. We see Mispace actually going out here. Kong was able to hold against Mispace, but now that Mispace is out, it's going to be the finals between Land and Kong. So, as you said, I would also be super happy if Land actually went to go until
just level 10. Here. Yeah, level here's got 2 stars on the bench, or roll down for possible 3-star defector. I don't think that's really going to make that much of a difference, but
wow, look at that gold.
Don't give him the opportunity to get back in the game.
He has almost 100 more gold than Kong at this point. This is just a massive... This is just a perfect economized game for Land, right? He had that long lose streak into that perfect 13-round win streak, so looking good here. He's still gonna win on his round, and Kong actually loses on his side, taking 13 damage without Land even pushing for that level. So at this point, I really would want Land to push for level 10. I mean, you saw Kong taking massive amount of damage. He's on the cusp of dying. You only need a little bit more to push him out to make sure that Kong is losing.
I mean, it's taking an unnecessary risk, letting him go 1 round
potentially
into
another round
in a creep round too.
Yeah,
so,
for sure.
Not necessarily what I would say would be the optimal thing.
I agree. This is a mistake, but it's very likely that Kong won't be able to survive this round regardless. But yeah, he's gonna go out. I do agree with you. Unnecessary risk, but Land is gonna end up winning this game with kind of the perfect way how you lose streak.
Yeah,
He lose
almost.
I guess he didn't win
lose
every round
15%.
at the losing streak. That's fine.
He went down to 35%
Yeah.
and
Oh,
ended at 20%.
where is he from? If it isn't our South Korean player
Yeah, I mean-
winning the first round.
Look
That's
out.
true. That is true.
He was upset that his compatriot Steelo was not able to qualify from the
Yeah.
last round.
Only
potentially.
taking fifth.
Not only
Only
just
taking
qualify,
fifth.
but not get first, because that's
Right.
what the other two did.
That's
Yeah.
true. That's true.
So you guys were talking about him not making the jump to level 10 there at the end.
Yeah.
And I was thinking about it. Do you think he just like went to go get a snack or something? Because he left his goal as you guys were talking about, like 50.
yeah,
I
this
just
is
don't
not
think
the
it was-
tournament
it
to
was
flex. I
necessary.
don't
Yeah,
think.
Isn't it though? Like, was that a little flex? Just a little flex there? He's like, you know what? I don't even need.
It would have been a
another-
baller move
I don't
if it
need
was a
another guy.
flex.
You know.
Imagine. I mean,
I
I
don't
don't
need
think
to
there
spend
was,
all
there
my
was
money.
much that he could have done to actually get himself back into the game to beat land. But at the same time, if you give somebody the opportunity
Yeah.
to make something happen, they pick up that one legendary unit that's
Exactly.
missing.
Yeah.
Things
Or
can
just,
turn in a second.
Or just like
And if
two
you have the
upgraded
opportunity,
items
just-
or something on the creep round next round.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So you just don't want to
Unnecessary
give
for
them
sure.
that.
It's a
that
game. It's a
opportunity.
game of millimeters, as Claytano, you were mentioning.
Milliseconds.
Millimeters, milliseconds,
All the milli.
milli-decisions, milli-moments. But there was a moment there. I want to say it was between fourth and fifth, where
Yeah.
it just happened in a. It
Yeah.
was literally
That was nice.
one player lasted literally a couple milliseconds
Zoinhu.
longer. Right.
Someone who lasted just a
And
couple milliseconds
that's
longer.
a 2-point separation.
Yeah,
And-
that's
and-
huge. It's
And
actually
if you've been watching today, thanks for watching. But you know how important every single point is, because
Yeah.
we've seen at least one tiebreaker go into effect.
Right.
So yeah,
Definitely.
I'm with you guys 100%.
Yes.
Everything you can do to give yourself total victory, you absolutely must do. As we look at the match result here, Land at the top, followed by Kong, Miss Peace. See, sometimes there's an E, sometimes there's not. Zoinhu, Sweet Pea, Nuge WK, SCL, and Yang at the bottom. Pretty even, the top three are very close there. Pretty interesting in the win-loss. 27-12,
Yeah.
27-12, 27-10.
Yeah.
Almost identical there, so pretty cool to see how close that is at the top. We'll see if that continues as we move forward. Again, this is a best of 3. And there we see the 50 gold flex.
Right. Yeah, that is
The
a flex.
50 gold flex there
Yeah.
at the end for Land. It doesn't carry over into the next game. If
That'd be
anyone's thinking about
something.
it. It does not work that,
That
way.
would be how
As we
would you
see,
ever win?
as we see the point distribution, 9-7-6-5-3-2-1-0. And again, the important gaps there between first and second, 2 points. It's a big deal.
Yep.
Between fourth and fifth, 5 and 3. And that was the moment where they both were knocked out within a millisecond.
Yeah,
But
I'm
all it
actually
takes.
curious to watch Zoinhu in this next game and see if he's actually behind in levels again. If that's
Right.
just how he plays and how he is comfortable with, or if that's something that he was like not happy with, So I want to see if he can get himself on the curve at least, and maybe just see a different strategy out of him, because that was, for me, kind of scary to watch him be a whole level behind.
So why
the
do you think
entire
that
match.
happened? Like, I can only see two reasons. One is that he rolled a lot more than the other players instead of spending money to level, or that he kept a way too expensive bench.
Well,
that's one way to lose a lot of
as-
gold, so you get after the other players in terms
As a
of
nice
economy.
Glacier player, he did kind of go for that, get everything at level 5 if possible, don't level.
Right.
But the problem was he went to level 6, and that whole advantage of rolling down for your 3-star 2-cost units is gone.
Disappear,
You
yeah.
have the same chance of getting your 2-cost units from level 6 to, I believe, level 8, and it doesn't change at all. Maybe even level 9. But level 5 is that just
Yeah.
slight advantage that you'll have. So at that point, he just needed to start. Once he gets to level 6, he needs to start getting back on curve with everybody else.
Yeah,
as
you gotta
quick as
choose.
possible.
You gotta choose. Either you roll at 5 or you continue leveling. Yeah, that's the way it is.
All right, well, guys, I'm excited to see how this match continues. Again, you're watching our coverage of Group D, the quarterfinals. Only 4 can advance to tomorrow, the semifinals. Again, that's a $4,000 difference between being between 17 and 32 and then actually advancing into the top 16. And $1 million is the prize pool overall in the tournament. So the biggest stage in the world for auto chess. We're going to take a short break, a very short break. You probably have time to run to the fridge or the pantry, because we're going to be right back with more coverage of Group D.
人一步，用技术驾驭前路。要赢，还要点运气的眷顾。怕输，那就给我让让路，看我一串7的脚步。要好看，指尖的技术，画里有画的艺术。茫茫大众，我要万众瞩目。你还想要什么？100万奖金，自走其爱。这里有你要的全部。
This is everything you're looking for indeed, and I'm not just talking about the 2019 Auto Chess Invitational and the $1 million prize pool. I'm also talking about the handsome gentleman next to me by the names of Yoel Larson and Claytano.
Hi.
Guys, it has been a wonderful day so far, and we're nearing the end of our day. We have covered 3 quarterfinal groups, groups A, B, and C. We've seen 4 players advance from each, and now we're 1 game down out of 3 here in our final group. So based on what we've seen today and based on what the first game that we've seen in the group, what are you guys expecting going into this next game for these guys?
Honestly, this one's a little bit interesting for me to call. I feel like there's been a lot of weird plays, but then also at the same
varied,
time,
right?
Yeah, it's a lot of different strategies going on from game 1, but I do want to see Nuge kind of have a higher finish as well to give him kind of that relaxed feel going into game 3, because right now he is a little bit on the cusp as well. So he was the top EU qualifier, and we haven't really seen too many of the EU players performing that great up until this point. We did have Seiko moving on to tomorrow's rounds, but Nudge was actually the top qualifier for EU. So looking for a little bit more out of him for sure.
Yeah, it's been interesting to see this group. There's been a lot of variance, and not variance, but there's been a lot of different comps being played. I loved one of the players did one of my favorite starts where you go with assassin, mage, dragons. I think that's very potent. So glad to see that also coming here.
Of course, we're seeing the points breakdown from match number 1 from all of our players here, and it seems that the next game is set to begin as well. We're moments away. I'm also interested to see, what are we going to see from Land here? Obviously, he had a very nice game 1. I wonder how much he changes things up. I don't expect him to change too much up because of how well things went for him in the first game.
Yeah, right. If he does have a good start, instead of going in a lose streak like he did in the previous game, he could definitely go into a big win streak. I guess we'll have to see what his stars looks like. If he gets those 2 stars, if he gets those early game synergies rolling, then of course you can go for that major win streak instead.
All right, guys, I'm going to let you take it away, but before you do, we're going to hear from Sizzle.
Okay, so for the first few rounds, I will definitely pick the 1-drop with great potential, like the Aggresses, Rancher, or Archer. And I will choose something strong like I don't remember the name in English, but it's a 1-drop, 1-cost feather that can, take mana from the enemy, because that one is pretty strong in the early game. And if I'm losing, I will definitely pick feather or knights as my, turn back weapon.
So very interesting to see Sizzle actually responding quite differently from most of the other players about what his early game would look like, looking for Aggressive Ranger or that Taboo Witcher, the English name he was looking for. 2 units we haven't heard anyone else talk about. I do like the idea of the Aggressive Ranger because we've seen how powerful that early 3 hunters are, and the Aggressive Ranger is just a way to go into that early. So we'll see if he does do that in the coming game.
Speaking of 2-star Aggressive Ranger, we do have Miss Peace with the 2-star Aggressive Ranger already. Now, for me, 2-star Aggressive Ranger is, it's great, right?
Yep.
It's good to have, it's good to add in for the Aggressive bonus and everything, but in order to really want me to commit to hunters, I have to see a couple dwarf snipers early
Right.
on. That's the carry.
However, one thing that Aegis Ranger also does well is actually transition well into Glacier Knight. If you get an early Evil Knight, just like Miss Peace right here, it's actually really nice to have until you get that bigger, like 4 Glacier and 4 Knights transition. We saw that a lot in the qualifiers, especially when people were loose streaking with Aegis Ranger.
Possibly, but I feel like the way the meta is shifting, Knights Glaciers are played on a loose streak anyway, so because of that, you're not even really trying to win, so a 2-star Aegis Ranger isn't really going to do much for you other than kind of tie up 3 gold where you
But
could
I still
be getting
feel like
those
in
interest
that
points.
transition where you need to put units on the board, picking up a few Aegis Rangers is nice. Either way, we'll see what Miss Peace does with this. Let's have a look at Sissel, see what he's working with. He's actually picked up an early Priest, also one of his fairly early game units in that type of Witcher. We heard him say that if he gets a loose streak, he prefers to go into Feathered or Knights, and we see him having one of both here on his bench. So, and buying an additional Feathered and Knight, I guess, and then an additional Feathered unit. So, definitely trying to go one of these synergies. I hope he does go for Knight Glaciers instead of Feathered. I don't think Feathered's been performing that well so far. Actually, we see Yang having 2-star type of Wishers this early. That is quite a high roll if you want to go into Feathered, and actually does have 3 Feathered synergy already. I think this start is really strong. I mean, type of Witcher is one of the strongest units in the early game, and if you give them a bit of evasion, especially 2 of them, they can actually wreak havoc on your opponent.
Yeah, plus he has 2 Hell Knights on the bench as well, so that's very close. I mean, round 6 to have all of this, I would say that's a high roll if I've ever seen one.
Yep, not bad. So, I mean, this is a good way to go into Feathered, but all of his Feathered units are he can sell all of them for full retail value still, so you can definitely transition into Knights if he does want to. He could also potentially go into Fallen Witcher if he does find one. He does have tons of type of Witchers already. You can play Hell Knight with that also. Could be interesting. Probably not going to see that, but just a throw out to Fallen Witcher.
Half the lobby actually going up to level 5 here, including Zoinhu. So there's one player that I did want to take a look at to make sure that he's kind of keeping up on
with the pace,
leveling. And if it was just because he was going Knights Glacier last game, that was the cause of him being behind levels the entire game. So good to see him leveling up round 5 there, and let's go and see what he's actually trying to build this round here. And it looks like he's going.
This is something to notice also, that you want to follow the tempo of your lobby. If a lot of people start to level up early, you don't want to be the one that's left behind in the dirt. So you kind of want to spend money when other people are spending money, unless you're loose streaking, of course. And then maybe save money when other people are saving money. You don't want to fall behind in either economy nor life.
Okay, so he goes ahead and sells up to 10 gold there, and it looks to me like he's also semi-thinking about going Feathered.
Or Glacier.
Or Glacier, instead of maybe just committing to Beast Warrior, which we've seen many times be a very, very strong option in this tournament so far. So maybe not counting that out just yet, but he does have, Warpwood Sage on the bench as well, which honestly, I would only keep it for that unicorn so that way you can kind of farm gold off of it. But aside from that, I feel like staying as far away from Feathered as you can right now would be your best bet. Land actually our winner from game 1, now picking up 2-star Hunters as well as the Aegis bonus that we talked about previously.
A lot of upgraded units already here at round 9. Probably just trying to find a better front line. That's really what he's missing. He has a lot of damage with his flat out bonus from the Hunters, 2 of them being 2-star, as well as that Dwarf ever so needed Dwarf Sniper. And the most reasonable thing here would probably be going into 3 Warrior frontline. Does play against Sissel, that is open forting currently, so of course he's gonna burn that one.
Sizzle, though, actually open forting now without the Priest, so I'm not sure if he actually sold the Priest maybe to hit one of those interest points, or he just decided to not put it on the
So
on the board.
Does that mean that Kong maybe is also open forting? Let's have a look at Kong. Yeah, so Kong is also open for him. The reason why Sissa put it on his bench again is if he somehow plays against Kong, he actually wins as he has one unit in, while Kong doesn't have a single one in. So then he would lose his lose streak, if you will.
But even if he plays against Kong, he would also lose his lose streak because he would draw. So I think the reason why he removed his priest is because if Kong actually got put up against Sizzle, Kong's lose streak would be lost, right? So,
and if that happens, Sizzle can actually continue lose streak while Kong probably starts to put in units.
Yeah.
And is that what happened? Because no, this is the creep round. Never mind.
Yeah, no, Sizzle actually went down pretty quick to this creep round, so unfortunately not picking up some very needed items.
Yeah, he didn't even defeat a single rock column, so that's pretty rough for Sizzle. For sure.
Yeah, round 10 kind of light on the items across the board, except for Zoinhu, which has quite a bit of Dracula masks, and that's about it. It does have the cattle hide armors as well, but overall, definitely in the best situation for all of the players this round for items.
Sure.
It does actually go with the 2-star Warpwood stage, though.
Yeah. It is a really strong unit in the early game, I think. It's especially good with Warriors because they have a lot of extra armor, so if you continuously give them heals from the seed, they actually can preserve for a long time. So it's kind of like the healer behind the Sang.
So Zoinhu is actually probably planning on selling that Red Axe Sheaf because he has all of his items stacked on it. So I would assume at this point that he has decided that he wants to go Hunter Feathered or Feathered of some sort, and he is going to be getting rid of his Red Axe Sheaf because he has 3 Dracula masks stacked on that thing, and that is just, he's just decided that he doesn't want to go Beast Warrior at this point. So I do feel a little bit nervous for Zoinhu because he does need to have a solid finish, but Feathered is not.
I feel like it's also a little bit late, however, to go into Beast Warrior. He hasn't really been winning half of the time, so you kind of need an early edge to get rolling with Beast Warriors, I feel like.
But we also don't know what he's been rolling past or what he's been offered as far as what's in his shop, because we already know that he doesn't want to go Warrior. So maybe something to look at in the future is to actually see what's in the shop as well.
This is a 2-star Siren.
It is a little bit hard to say.
It's a 2-star Siren already for Nudge WK with a 1-star Soul Reaper. It's somewhere around 12. This is insane. This is such a good start for Nudge WK. He must be happy where he's at. Actually has a pretty close game against Sweet Pea, the other player here in the top of the standings. Nudge must be happy that he did go up to level 6 there.
Yeah, I mean, anytime you're 100% HP with 40 gold at round 13, you're probably feeling pretty good.
Yeah. no, for sure. And especially happy that it did go up to level 6 as it was so close against Sweet Pea. It actually goes up to 7, and I do like this. Just pressuring the other opponents. He's playing Hunter Warriors right now, which it's not as good as Beast Warrior to pressure your opponents and dealing a lot of damage, but it is damn close. It's really good in the early game especially, so I like his situation here. He's probably not going to lose against anybody, and he's going to pressure whoever he plays against.
Yeah, it looks like I feel like the Siren is taking a long time to get the skill up, so he probably doesn't have any mana items on it, unfortunately, but he does have it on backline. So right now at round 13, there's not going to be anything that's really going to kill it that quickly. So looking to put that front line, I think, would help him out tremendously, so that way he can make use of that 2-star Siren, not just from the ultimate, but just having a little bit of a front line.
No, I completely agree.
For his hunters would be
the only thing you really care about, which is scary about putting it in the front line at this point in the game, is if it gets human silence or if it gets attacked by Taboo Witcher. And we are seeing a few Taboo Witchers in this game, but still though, I do think it's worth it to put it in the front line to just give that off chance. And even so, there's not a lot of Taboo Witchers, so you can probably position it in a way that you can kind of evade both Taboo Witcher players.
We see Sizzle kind of all over the place here, trying to put together a feathered composition because, I mean, even in his interview, he said, I like going feathered from a lost streak, and that is exactly what he's doing. But I'm not sure how it's going to work out for him. He does have a lot of work to do going into a creep round with about 24% HP. It's a little bit lower than what you would want at this point, of course. but he's not even really close to having any of those upgrades to kind of stabilize him at this point. So Sizzle, though, on the verge of taking potentially another 8th.
Yeah,
place,
I mean,
say.
this is just scary for him, right? Because the thing with Feathered is that if you do it from a lose streak, you expect yourself to start winning in the mid game. But even if you do, I feel like Feather is not the strongest late game comp anyways. Like, at some point, it should be a counter against Glacier Knights, but Glacier Knights actually starts winning against them when we get to the late game, when there's 3-star Lightblade Knight or 3-star Hell Knight.
Also, one thing to note as well is that there's 3 other Hunter players as well as 1 other Mage player. So 4 people in the lobby are probably going to do a decent job at countering you as well until you get those 6 Hunter or 6
Just
Feathered
not the
in.
best comp in the metagame or even the most strong one in a vacuum. So yeah, I wouldn't want to see a lot of people going Feather. I mean, it hasn't really been popular, honestly. We've only seen a few people actually trying to go for it so far. Giant does find that 3-star type, which I say I have had it for a while. It's going to be interesting to see how long he does keep that.
Zorinu actually struggling to put something together too. He's been kind of in between builds for probably about 10, 11 rounds now, and it looks like he's possibly falling into the Beast Warrior now at this point. Did get rid of the Warpwood Sage that we saw previously, so it might be a little late though.
Yeah,
in my opinion, and again, we kind of goes back to not really being sure if he was rolling past things and just focusing on Feather, or if he just wasn't offered it, which definitely could be the situation.
Annoying since he kept himself being flexible for that Feathered, even having tons of units on the bench that cost him in gold for several rounds. So even when he's supposed to transition and kind of come back into the game, he's already lost so much gold that it's going to be even harder.
And the other thing to think about too is that he has all those Dracula masks on the Red Axe Chief, but he now has a Berserker, which is going to be something that he wants those Dracula masks to be put on. So
and he also has a Swordsman, right? So he doesn't want to sell the Red Axe Chief even.
Right, and so that's why he's buying that extra one that's on the bench now, trying to get that to 2-star before he switches it out. But it's just, I mean, he's running out of time. He's at 32%
a lot of awkward,
HP.
Yeah. Interesting to see Sweet Pea. He was actually level 5 just very recently. We saw that in the last game too. Sweet Pea actually stayed at a lower level for a long time, and after he had rolled a bit on that lower level, I think it was last game was level 6, this game was level 5. Then he started to turbo level after he found the things that he wanted. Kind of like the Glacier Knight gamble, if you will. Let's have a look at Sweet Pea, see what he's working with, and see what okay, so he did probably do that gamble. We can especially see that since he has 2 Hell Knight 2-stars and he almost has 2-star Silverblade Knights. So does make sense that he stayed at 5 for a few additional turns.
Yeah, but I mean, if you're going Knights at 90% though, that's also you being very lucky with your rolls.
No, for sure.
Because most of the time right now is you're playing Knights from a lose streak and coming back. So
you can do it from a win streak. It only comes down to getting that early Hell Knight too.
Just high roll, forehead. That's all you gotta do.
Is that not what you're doing? I don't understand. What's the issue here?
Easy game is easy.
Yeah. Notch WK still keeps his 100% streak here, so looking real good for him. Lan, our previous winner actually from the previous round, a little bit of, he's going into Feather Hunters, it seems like. A little disappointed.
Yeah, I think at this point the Soulbreaker is losing its value.
For sure.
I almost would put the Whisper Seer in there to give the front line a little bit more beef, but
with the evasion,
at the same time, it's kind of a toss-up.
Yeah. No, I agree. The Soulbreaker is the oddball here for sure. I really want to find that racing club.
It almost just gave the Siren mana this round, which is never a good thing.
No, that's true.
Obviously, it did quite a bit of damage, but I just don't think it was as valuable.
I feel like that's
anymore.
just because it stayed alive for the longest time. Like
it wasn't being focused down.
No,
right?
Exactly. Miss Peace barely losing here against Yang. Let's have a look at Sizzle. Let's see if he can actually come back into this game. He has found that Dwarf Sniper too, but he just doesn't have an economy at this point. I don't know if he's gonna come back here. Yeah, I'm spelling Doom for Sizzle a little early here.
No, he's got an egg. He's got 2 snipers on the bench. No, he doesn't need to put in the egg, but if he can get to level 8, he can have 2 Dwarf Snipers, which is actually not the worst thing in the world.
It would be nice to find a Razor Claw here. Not only does he get his Whisperwood Seer upgraded, or Whisperwood Sage, sorry, upgraded, but he could also get a 2-star Razor Claw, which would be nice here before round 20.
Yeah, I also, yeah, it's, I don't know, I don't have very much confidence in this build.
No, me neither. You and me both, my friend. You and me both.
And we do see he's going to take some pretty heavy damage there against Nuge, it looked like.
Yeah,
actually, yeah, well, yeah, so he goes down to 9% HP. I was
slow
waiting for
animation there,
a little slow on the calculation, but it did end up coming through. Now taking a look at Yang, going with a 3-star Tab Witcher for himself, but kind of in an awkward spot with the Knight's Glacier comp, in my opinion.
Right. Yeah, maybe we'll see a Fallen Witcher. Who knows? No, I'm just kidding. Clearly, it's not going to happen. Yeah, I think Yang is going to keep it for as long as he doesn't have like a 2-star that's going to enable another synergy.
I mean, his build is a little bit on the weaker end, of course, or I mean, even his bench is a little bit weaker than some of the other players we've seen, but at least he has enough economy and enough HP that he's probably going to be able to be just fine in this round compared to some of those other players that are kind of in the on the chopping block there, like Sizzle, Zoinhu, and even Land at this point. We haven't seen him too much this game. Look at the items here. Sweet Pea with a nice Jade Pipe. We also have Sizzle with a Heaven's Gift, and kind of a fair spread for items, I would say, overall. The only thing is that Sweet Pea doesn't have any mana items, which, as a Knight's Glacier player, he's perfectly fine with that.
Alright, so we're having a look at Kong here that's actually found a 2-star Dragon Knight. And this is early to find a 2-star Dragon Knight, looking really strong here.
Yeah, but
together with a pretty good
his
mage
2-star Dragon
backline.
Knight, though, without kind of locking him in, like possibly putting him where the source is or one up, it moved a little bit and got himself into a position where he almost didn't take advantage of the dragon bonus at all. It just moved right in. It almost did a basic attack first before the mana
came in.
Fully filled up. So
no, he should definitely reposition.
Being aware of that,
100%.
he needs to make that adjustment next round.
Does have the full 6 mages, so looking good composition wise. But yeah,
let's go back to who was it? Kong? Yeah, Kong, who had the Dragon Knight, to see if he's gonna fix that.
Does have the Tutorial Elder almost in the front also.
Yeah, this positioning is
I would put this is not good positioning, let's be honest. I would put the Disruptor down in the front. Just where Tutorial Elder is, switched out with the source, put the source to the left side of the Tutorial Elder, and then maybe change spots between Shining Dragon and Dragon Knight possibly.
I mean, I'd make so many changes. You see the Dragon Knight again, just
yeah,
jumps
when you
right in
can
there.
hear me, just suddenly to change everything. So yeah, not the best positioning, and
the Tutorial Elder is ulting behind him, and the wolf. It's just a mess. It's all over the place. So still not making the change. And
might still win against Nudge WK though. It's getting close. Actually.
While you're in a game, watching your units and what they're doing, and maybe not scouting and just being aware of what's going on at that specific moment, so that way you can make small changes that can really decide a whole lot, is very important.
Right, especially now, given that he has time when he doesn't have any bank. Like, he's not rolling down, he doesn't need his APM for many other things. So yeah, I would have liked him to kind of change his setup there a little bit. However, he did win against Nudge WK, which is kind of a surprise given he's the lone 100%er. And Nudge WK actually going for 4 Marine already in round 23. This is the earliest time I've seen 4 Marine in a at least semi-competitive game. Yeah. It's a very interesting way to do this.
How many mage players are there, though? I think there's only
let's have a look at the tab. Let's have a look at the tab.
If I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
One mage player is going 4 Marine, so
maybe
not
surprising.
The smartest.
Yeah, I don't know.
Investment.
Maybe. Okay, so he went up to 9, right? So he's gonna be stronger than almost all the other players. But he did see that Kong actually beat him on his board. So maybe he's thinking, that's the only player who I can lose to right now. So I'm going to play forward.
Fair point.
Yeah.
Fair point. Could be going through his head.
Yeah.
But at the same time, there's only one mage player.
I mean, it's a bit of a stretch, I agree. However, if he's thinking that could be some next level 200 IQ player right there.
Possibly.
Possibly.
Miss Peace now actually just one Red Axe Chief away from a 3-star Red Axe.
Let's have a look at Sizzle actually, see if he's going out.
3-star Exorcist Ranger.
Let's have a look at Sizzle, see how he's faring on his board.
HP.
Yeah. Yeah, Sizzle is gonna go out here. No surprise there. We did call it a few rounds ago that it's not gonna work with this Hunter feather build from behind. So he actually hasn't lost that much health as of late. I think he's been winning for a while, has he not? Let's have a look at the win streak situation. So I know did lose the last round, sorry, but he hasn't actually lost a lot of health, and that's kind of a testament to the Beast Warrior, is that you often, even if you lose, you usually kill a fair number of the opponent's units before you do.
Yeah, and I like the fact that he actually realized that the better option here would be switching to Beast Warrior, and I'm hoping that he's gonna get rewarded for it with a couple extra ranks higher than 7th, but we kind of knew that Sizzle was gonna get last just based on the build that he was going and knowing that it didn't really have the power behind it, which it is unfortunate for him because I believe that's 2 8th places in a row now for Sizzle. So
he's going to be out.
It's going to be a 7th place and the 8th place.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. He's out.
But it's still it's still a difficult time for him these first 2 games.
So 7th place is what, 1 point?
Correct.
Yeah. So even if he wins this round, he's going to go up to 10 points, and we've usually seen the cutoff at 4th/5th be around 12 points, maybe 11 in one group, but never. There's not been a group where 10 points has been enough, basically. So it's looking grim for Sizzle here.
Yeah, which is again a little unfortunate for him on this one. But taking a look at Yang now with his Knights Glacier comp, just a couple away from a 3-star Hell Knights as well. And was Yang the player that had the 3-star Taboo Witcher?
I think so, yeah.
So he ended up getting rid of that.
Yeah, smart. This must be a little bit disheartening, though, playing against another Glacier Knight player, which does have tons of 3-stars in that Hell Knight and that Despacito/Desperate Doctor. So taking tons of damage as well here. His Beast Warrior starting to fall off a little bit, and this is a symptom of him not having such a great start. And since Beast Wars isn't really scaling that well in comparison to other teams, you really need that extra economic buffer by having a good early game, which he didn't. So it's no surprise that he's starting to fall off a little bit here, and I would be surprised if he claims even 6th position in this game.
Yeah, Nudge still 100% here, and
crushing it.
Picking up a little bit of a flex item with that 4th Soul Reaper as well as a 4th Doom Arbiter as well. Or I'm sorry, a 4th Pirate Captain. It's only a 2nd Doom Arbiter that's on the bench there. But looking at possibly some 3-star Mythic units would always be fun to see.
Did move out of that 2nd Marine bonus, so he's only playing 3 out of 4 now.
For now, but he does have the option to go back into it if he does.
And I like him keeping it. I mean, it's really good for the late game. If his final opponent might be Kong, he's going to have magic damage, and the higher level Nudge is going to become, the harder it's going to be to find Abyssal Crawlers. So before going there, keep him on the board, especially since you have such a bank at this point.
I think Kong with 23% HP is going to have a hard time against some of the Knights players with those 3-star All Knights. I believe it was possibly Land that had that 3-star.
Or Miss Peace.
Or I think it was Miss Peace, correct. That had that 3-star Hell Knight. And Zoinhu, kind of on the edge here, 8% HP, only a couple Swordmans away from a 3-star upgrade, but kind of grasping at straws here. There's that 3-star Hell Knight that I was talking about from Sweet Pea, actually, was the one.
Sweet
also
Pea, Miss Peace,
Doctor.
Yin and Yang. So Son is actually gonna be able to keep himself alive here, and Land actually being defeated by Nudge So it does end up playing against the top player here. And this is kind of the mine you don't want to walk into at this point. It's been not WK.
We've actually seen several players fall into this trap this tournament. We've seen, of course, the
3-star Abyssal Guard on the bench. Okay, it's finally gonna go up to 9 to put it in.
Yeah, but to my point, there's several players that go first place in game 1 and then have just a awful game 2, and it really puts them in a position where that entire lead that they gave themselves is now gone.
Right.
And they're kind of playing catch up and kind of gambling everything into one game now at that point, and turning their whole $450,000 journey into a best of one.
Yeah, you gotta stay consistent. That's the name of the game. It doesn't matter if you're first, if you're gonna be 7th or 8th in the next games. I mean, it's enough to be 4th in every game. So middling consistency is definitely something you can go for, and this is going to be close for Yang actually, but that Berserker does stay at 100% health, so Soin is going to defeat him here. Soin actually go out against Nudge WK. As I said, Nudge is kind of the landmine here you don't want to walk into. Whoever is going to face him in the bottom 4 before Soin did go out could actually go out.
Zoin's got some work to do going into game 3. Definitely still has a chance to get back into it, but he needs to have a solid finish game 3 for sure. Yang now on the cusp here at 8%. Now there is a little bit of a buffer between 4th and 5th now, so again, just trying to get one more rank higher will give you that 2 extra points now at this point.
Yeah, this is a big one.
Yeah, Yang with the 3-star Lightblade Knight. As far as the items are concerned on round 30, let's take a look here just across the board at the item spread.
Yeah, especially now that the creep round is over, it's going to be interesting to see what items have been combined here. Nudge does only have one item combination actually. Miss Peace actually picks up 2 Wraith Shards. That is really big actually. And he already has that Maelstrom, so he's going to have that Mjolnir now for Miss Peace on that Dwarf Sniper. Is one of the best units to have it on.
Can also add another Wraith Shard on top of it as well. So massive Dwarf Sniper there.
Especially great on Dwarf Sniper since it does attack the backline at first. And that means the lining is actually going to pop off in the backline. It's going to kill it even faster. So
yeah, also not even very close to a Dragonbone Ballista as well. So almost one of the most stacked damage dealing carriers we've seen so far.
Yeah, for sure. And it's going to see him deal massive amount of damage with that Mjolnir. Yang is kind of on the cusp here on going out. That Lightblade Knight does kill 2 more units. It's going to be close. I think it's going to stay alive at 1 HP, given that pre-shield. Kong stays alive at 1 HP. This is close. Whoever's going to go out in 5th is going to be decided on the very next round. Very possibly. Kong still has the Tortroll Eller in the front line. Not really sure about that positioning. Would want to change that against the Roproton.
At least he's got the Dragon Knight locked in now, so we're making progress.
It's already locked into having it though, because it does have a... If we take a look at the Tortola Elder once more, he does have extra armor item on it.
It could be because he doesn't have any mana items that he thinks that he needs it to be frontline, but that's what Source is for at this point.
Well, because he's gonna get off his ult. It's gonna shine. He did actually get it off.
It's not a fully charged ult though, so it's gonna do much less damage.
It is gonna go out there. Is it gonna go out before Yang or not? Yang also loses, but Kong goes out beforehand, and this is huge for Yang. This is so big, netting that 4th position, 2 extra points over Kong.
So Yang actually, taking 4th there, leaving Nuge at 100%, still going into round 33. Miss Peace at 19, and Sweet Pea not too far behind at 15%. So now it's just a battle for seconds at this point. As far as the builds are concerned, we could potentially see Sweet Pea get back into it, but with Nudge being as stacked as he is with the 2-star Dark Spirit.
I was just about to say, now you can remove your Marines at this point, right?
Yeah, you can
remove your Marines. But the thing is that Nudge has a 2-star Tsunami Stalker, which you're never going to remove. He has a 2-star Siren, which you're never going to remove. And his Abyssal Guard is 3-star. So I guess he's just going to keep it because they're so powerful in their own right. Regardless of the Marine bonus not mattering. But yeah, it's not going to go for the...
From Sweet Pea to Miss Peace.
But he's not going to go for the Abyssal Crawler in the end. So he's going to be able to sell that, which he has at this point. does lose actually, so he's not gonna get a perfect game. That's unfortunate for Nudge's flexing potential here.
Yeah, possibly going for a 3-star Dark Spirit.
There it is. Well, if there's anything that's a flex, it's 3-star Dark Spirit. Although it is really good to put in 2-star Dark Spirits also.
I think a 3-star Dark Spirit would be more of a flex than a 100% game. Just throwing that out there.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, we'll see if we get to that, because not that Nudge doesn't have enough money to get there, but when he does get 2-star Dark Spirits, it's kind of unlikely that his opponents will stay alive long enough for them to see the 3-star Dark Spirit flex. Alright, so Misp is gonna get to play against Sweet Pea here. It is gonna be a close game. The backline of 3-star is still alive, but it does seem like Misp is gonna take this with his actually 2-star Dwarf Sniper dealing about 8,000 damage with that Mjolnir, so big deal there. Nudge barely wins against Misp. And yeah, it does seem like Sweet Pea does lose his round, so the only one taking damage this round. So everyone's gonna, 3 players are gonna go into round 35 here. It's actually scary for Sweet Pea. He's already level 9, so his synergy is kind of complete at this point. And his most important units are already 3-star. Like, what are you looking for here? Sure, you can get a 2-star Soul Reaper and a 2-star Storm Samurai. So I guess that's what you can do, but
2-star Soul Reaper would be huge.
Yeah, but more than that, there's not really anything else you can make to improve your board, really.
Right. He also doesn't have much gold to work with either, so that is something that Miss Peace has 50 gold economy over Sweet Pea, and just noticing that, it kind of upsets me that Miss Peace has 50 gold to work with. I would like to see Miss Peace use that to try to push Sweet Pea out to clutch that.
Right.
Second
Maybe he
place
thinks
finish.
that I could really see that.
And yeah, there's the killer
that's a
bot
nice
300
killer bot
for
300.
Sweet Pea.
I can really see Miss Peace actually saving money for the reason. Okay, so it does go all in for level 10 here.
On that Hell Knight, though,
if
that's
Miss Peace doesn't have a great game 1, maybe he thinks that if he's a little bit more greedy, he can actually become in first place in this game. It is still possible to catch Nudge here.
He does spend it. Rolls in, goes up to 10 as well. So just as what we were thinking. Yeah, just after a creep round. So he's probably greeding a little bit, like you said, but ended up working out for him.
So Sweet Pea is gonna play against Miss Peace here, and it does seem like Sweet Pea is actually gonna hold, even though Miss Peace did go all in for level 10. So a little surprising here. Miss Peace does defeat Nudge WK, and Nudge WK is actually the only player losing on his side of the board. Does still have tons of gold that he can spend, and he is rolling down here. Does find the Ghost Prophet too, so that is big. Does have, could get another Dark Spirit too.
Just
if
3 Dark Spirits away from a 3-star Dark Spirit.
What? Yeah, this is interesting. Do you want to put that? Yeah, I was just about to say, do you want to put that Dark Spirit 2 in? What does it remove, however?
Doesn't need to remove.
Oh, that's his 10.
He removed one of his hunters, actually, so he didn't get rid of
the
Aegis' bonus.
Ranger.
He got that second Aegis bonus from the Ghost Prophet. Correct.
Smart. That's so smart. That's definitely the right play here. Basically turning his 1 cost 2-star into a 5 cost 2-star. Which is clearly an enormous difference in terms of power level.
Yeah.
So Nudge actually still losing against Miss Peace. It's kind of crazy seeing him losing with such a really high power team. It's showing how strong this other alliance is. Wow, 4 Frenzy Max on Lightblade Knight. This is actually amazing.
I would actually like to see what's happening with Nudge and why his team isn't holding up. I think that positioning has a little bit to do with it. He has the Tsunami Soccer a little bit over to the right, where I think a lot of his opponents are coming from his left side.
Right. Let's have a look.
And so that Dark Spirit didn't even get off. So one of the Dark Spirits didn't get off. This second Dark Spirit didn't get off. So neither of them got off against this Knights team, which is disastrous. Like you're not going to have any chance at it. So again, he's just 2 Dark Spirits away though from a 3-star Dark Spirit. So
I mean, that's
maybe
what I'm
he's
waiting for.
Yeah, maybe he's also waiting for the same thing. Although now he's down to about 10 gold, so that dream is fading slightly.
Yeah, and I think Miss Peace has one-star Dark Spirit also, so it's gonna be even harder to get it.
Let's go back to Nudge's
Can he
board.
get for 6 hunters? No,
He
he can't.
threw in
Eggers' Ranger,
Eggers'
right?
Ranger.
And he doesn't have an Evil Knight. Surprised there instead of Dark Spirit even. I don't understand that play really.
He already has 2 out of 4 Eggerses. He already has 3
out of 6 hunters.
out of 6 hunters. That's basically trading a
Dark Spirit 2 for
That's all you're doing.
with no additional like upside. Yeah.
Right. There's no bonus to that.
Yeah, that
at
is
all.
definitely a mistake. I can't see
Unless
that
he's
being
going
correct.
for that 3-star Dark Spirit. That's it.
How
Unless
would
he's
the
trying to
Ratchet
nerf
do?
himself a little bit to go for the 3-star Dark Spirit. That's the
Right,
only
he doesn't want to
reason.
kill his opponents fast enough. But the problem is he's been losing every round for a couple of rounds now. So, I mean, he's in a position where he could definitely not be first here. Something we wouldn't expect at all, like 5 or 10 rounds ago even.
True.
100 more gold than Miss Beast
I
in
think
total.
if he repositioned and you know kind of figured things out a little bit,
he should be able to win this. He
would be fine.
I mean,
But he is
his
kind of
board
gambling
is so
a little bit
expensive.
with it, toying around with trying to get this 3-star Dark Spirit that
This is
might
just-
not necessarily reward
Right,
that.
but this is such an expensive board. It's crazy, right? I mean, look at his units. They're almost all of them are 2-star 5 cost or 2-star 4 cost. Like Sniper 2 is like his cheapest unit. Seriously.
I would just sell Eggersis at this point.
Yeah.
Eggersis Ranger. That's
Yeah.
not going to come back in.
Yeah, I do agree. He would also net him another interest point. So being a little bit wasteful with his gold, with his lead that he does have, thinking that it has a buffer to do whatever we want. But
we do see.
we definitely try to min-max that.
Oh. So Miss Peace actually has 2 Dark Spirits on the bench. So total legendaries
That's fine. The third one
is 10.
Yeah, so you can't
And right
get
now
one.
there's 9 in play.
So the only way Nudge gets it here is if he does indeed send Misspell. He has to win.
Find 2 more eggs though. He could do that.
He could do that. Yeah. To make a level 2 egg, and then he could make it, or he could kick out Misspiece.
But he did
If
roll down. It
Misspiece
looks like he didn't find
is
anything.
getting kicked out before Sweet Pea. It is possible. It is technically possible. Nudge actually crushes Sweet Pea here. Is gonna win this round. Misspiece does take 8 against Misspiece.
There goes
that's it.
Misspiece. Misspiece is out at 3rd, so all those Dark Spirits now are thrown back into the pool.
the pool. Let's go.
Unfortunately, Nuge actually did roll down though last round, so that
actually has a
final
Dwarf
20
Sniper
gold that he
3.
had
Look at
left
that.
over, he did in fact spend it, and that Dwarf Sniper 3 came really quickly actually.
Yeah, I was surprised. He was so far away, right?
He was
He had like one on the bench or whatever.
Yeah, he had 2 2-star Dwarf Snipers, and then now he's got a 3-star.
Must be. Yeah, that is probably the best upgrade he could have got. I mean, jokes aside with the Dark Spirit 3, I think actually Dwarf Sniper 3 is more important, especially since it has such good items.
All right, here we go head to head, and one of the Dark Spirits already not getting off. The other one is getting off for Nudge.
And it is going to be enough on his side of the board. However, Sweet Pea might be holding here. It's going to be close between the Dwarf Sniper and the Lightblade Pylon, but the Lightblade Knight, does in fact lose in the end, since it doesn't have another unit to bounce his blades on. And Dwarf Sniper is definitely better in that 1 versus 1 scenario. Let's have a look at the items on Dwarf Sniper, because I do think it does have a Mjolnir. No, oh, this is the tripled Frenzy Mask Dwarf Sniper with Maelstrom and Ghostblade and another stick here. This upgrade was just huge, right? This couldn't get any better of an upgrade. That was quite
also
a high
the
roll.
reposition from Nuge here to kind of protect that Dark Spirit on the left side is definitely important. I think that's going to kind of solidify him this match, because that second Dark Spirit hasn't been getting off. So if he can get both of them off,
he
should be in good shape.
should be easy.
So there's one, and the other one is...
Yeah, I do believe Sweet Pea is going to lose by a fair margin here on his side of the board, and that's going to be it. Nudge is going to take this second game of the last group with a pretty dominating display, actually. Certainly dominance in the second game.
Yeah, Yeah,
very much so.
I think he played it a little bit conservative. Could have been a little bit more aggressive to finish it quite a bit sooner.
One could have even said he did a mad expression of his wealth in this game.
Something
he kind
along
of
those
swung it
lines.
around. Maybe didn't min-max as much as he could have, considering he was so far ahead, but did come out in the end.
Yeah, and I think, Claytano, I think you're touching on it, though, but, I mean, he was at 100% for a long time there.
Yeah.
And, like, you know, not to be more confusing, but Sweet Pea and Miss Piece. By the way, they're both doing decent in my unofficial math standings, so they might still be duking it out here to get in the top 4. But no, it shocked me there how Nudge WK, he was at 100%. Seemed like he was chilling.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Sweet Pea and Miss Piece were way down in like the 10 percentile. But then another situation where we started seeing some clawing back from these other players, and I'm like, wait a second. Is News somehow going to lose this? And you guys you're talking about positioning.
Yeah.
You know, was it positioning? It was a lot of 2-stars, expensive units. What was the deal there? I mean, was there a better way for him to close it out and really flex like Land did the game before?
I definitely think there was, but once he did finally get that 3-star Dwarf Sniper, that's when there was really no beating him after that point. Although I do feel like he could have closed the door much sooner, probably like almost 10 rounds sooner, where he was sitting on gold. He was not really forcing the issue and kind of playing around with the final 2 players.
Right.
And in this situation, it's a little bit risky.
I think it's a bit of 2 different play styles. I think it's 2 different play styles, especially when you're that far ahead, that we see a lot of players, or some players like to keep their 50 gold to make sure they will get more gold over time and then kind of slowly suffocate their opponent, while others try to spend all of the gold to not give them a chance to get their upgrades to come back. And it's kind of 2 different play styles. I do think often that I would like to be a little bit more aggressive with my gold when I'm that ahead, especially when there's only 2 other players left. If there's more players left, I do like keeping it a little bit more, and I think that's different from player to player, how to kind of spend your gold in the late game, if you will, especially when you're ahead.
Yeah, I mean, in my opinion, if you have the opportunity to push your opponent out, why not?
It was, I don't know, at that point I felt like it was a little hard for him to get some upgrades by pushing all in, but either way.
Looking at our total standings here, I think, you know, pretty big surprise to me, actually, you know, Land, 7th place. Claytano, I think you mentioned it too earlier. How we've had a few players that have won who have not been able to advance. Either they win round 1, round 2. We've had that happen at least a couple times today. So Land winning in the first game of this best of 3, but now finding himself in 7th, and I love that discussion that you guys had about it. He's put himself in a hole here, and you know, we talk about consistency too. Miss Piece is a great example of that, as you see at the top. 2 third place finishes. 6 plus 6 is 12, and he's at the top. And look how close we are in that top 5. 12, 11, 10, 10, 10. But imagine if Land had like figured it out a little bit better there in game 2. He would be well up the leaderboard, but now he's finding himself fighting to just be in the top 4.
Yeah, I think the bubble is going to be close this time. A lot of people have a lot of decent positions.
Well, that's the other thing.
I think
with Land,
the point you need could be even higher this
with
round.
Land taking 8th place, though, it actually opens the door for the other players to sneak in now that may not have originally had a chance. So Zoinhu being where he's at in 6th place can actually slide in just fine.
If there's something that can beat a South Korean, it's playing feathered.
There you go.
That's true.
We saw both players being on 7th.
For the Korean player himself.
Yeah,
exactly.
Not playing against him as feathered.
Yeah, exactly. We saw both players at 7th and 8th in this round were actually both playing feathered.
Yeah.
It's not a coincidence.
Well, we'll see what happens continuing forward, but it's like it's good for us that, you know, we have a very dramatic game 3 coming forward. But for Land, he's going to be a bit sad about what happened there because he could have easily, you know, secured himself top 4 just by doing a little bit better in that last game. So again, for us though, it means we're going to have a very close game 3, and we're going to take a short break, and we're going to be right back with that. So during this break, we're actually going to look at we have a few words from the player that just succeeded there, the representative from Spain. That's Nudge WK. So let's take a look at that.
I actually started playing Auto Chess just when they announced a 1 million tournament because I wanted to compete in it, so being here is a success, I guess. Yeah, I have been playing StarCraft, League of Legends and Went before Auto Chess at a high level. So this is not my first event. I mean, I actually think I am the favorite for me, but I guess Tutu is also really good because he has a lot of points on the Asia ladder. But I don't think there is really a favorite or anything like that. I usually play the game on the computer because I stream it, and I actually only play when I am streaming. I don't like overplaying because I don't want to get burned out of the game. So I usually just play 3 or 4 hours on the computer. And it's also a really nice game to stream because you can interact with the chat while the fight is going on, so I think that's really good.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back from Shanghai, China. We're live with the English coverage of the 2019 Auto Chess Invitational. $1 million on the line and a kitty cat. Not on the line.
Not on the line.
But a lot of cool little animals around for some reason. I don't know. Something I noticed, we walked by this side store, this like little convenience store, and there's this little kitten.
Yeah.
Just chilling.
Oh, that was so cute.
Just chilling in the doorway.
Just
a little
there
kitten just chilling in the doorway.
Yeah.
You guys kept walking. I had to stop and give a little pet to the
I'm
kitten.
allergic. So,
Oh,
you
okay,
know,
yeah, you're good.
Can't really do. I mean, I can't
I
do
missed
that,
it?
but no worries.
Yeah,
was there?
no, I
You
don't
did.
think you were. No, he wasn't there. No, it was Cameron.
I was gonna say, if I was there,
No, you were good
I
about
would've
the
seen
kid.
it. Yeah.
We can go
I'd be
back.
okay.
It's very close to the hotel. It's like this kid was just chilling.
Kitty.
It surprised me because why doesn't he just run off? No, he's just sitting
Yeah,
at the front.
yeah.
You don't
anyway,
have kids? Where is
that's
you from?
Well, I do, but they usually run. They don't just stay there,
Right.
especially if they're little kittens.
Yeah, it was a
It's
baller
like
kitten.
super
It was a baller
obedient-
kitten.
Yeah,
That's for sure.
Anyway, cool story of the day is over. I want to talk about the interview that we just saw because I thought that was very interesting with Noosh WK, where first he was talking about his history in StarCraft and League of Legends. It's pretty cool to hear him talk about that. And I've done I've done a bit of stuff in StarCraft, but I don't remember him being in the scene as much. So I got to go back and research that more. But something else he said, he only plays 3 hours.
Yeah. I like the
Are
idea.
you crazy? I don't like the idea.
I like the idea of not burning yourself out on a game. Like if you enjoy playing a game that you're doing well at, you don't want to overdo it, if you will. Especially if you're streaming. It does take a lot of energy if you want to keep that up. And
but he
if you do
mentioned
it 8 hours a day, you could get burn out also by working, but also by just getting bored of the game, you know? And
Yeah.
maybe that's not possible for some
There's
people,
there's
but
other ways
I
to
have some
learn
issues
without
with that sometimes.
actually playing. So
Yeah.
just
I-
watching
yeah,
some of the other players,
sure.
you pick up
Yeah.
things that you don't normally think of on your own. So that could be something that he's doing.
I feel like that is something that can be unpacked a bunch, but we got to get into the next game. We'll talk about that more because I mean I think honestly you can get away with not playing that much. Like in the future pro gamers.
Yeah.
No, we might have pros who play 5 different games, 2 hours each day. 2 hours of each game, and they're competing in all of them or something. But
That's the
anyway,
future of esports
yeah,
right
that's the
there.
future, and maybe a conversation for another day. But for now, let's take a listen to Sweet Pea and some of his thoughts on the tournament.
My game plan. First of all, I check off my unit, what I have, and then check other what they have, and come up with plan. Do I need to win or lose? And then improvise what game give it to you. Yeah.
Yeah, so that makes a lot of sense what Yang said. He's trying to see what he's starting with, and depending on what your opponent has, he's trying to decide whether he's going to win or lose his first round and going into a lose streak or a win streak. Seems like he's comfortable with both sides of the coin, and I kind of like that sentiment, especially like looking at what your opponents are doing in the early game. I feel like that's a little underestimated in this game.
Yeah, I believe that was actually Sweet Pea
Sorry,
from
Sweet
the
Pea.
interview.
Sweet Pea.
Yeah, but either way, it definitely makes sense. And it's one of those things where if you see 4 or 5 other players going knights at round 5 or 6.
But also, just winning
change
or
up your
losing,
strategy.
right? If you see a bunch of 2 stars, maybe you shouldn't push for a win.
Right.
Maybe it's better to just lose. You gotta think of like, okay, how many players are stronger than me? Like, can I win the next round after the first one? Like, is it possible? Is it reliably possible? Maybe I should start to lose again. How many other players are going for lose streak? Maybe I shouldn't try to lose streak just because of that. Like, there's a lot of things that goes into that in the very early game.
And speaking of loose streaking, we do have Zoinhu, which is open forwarding right now, and that kind of makes it changes the whole dynamic of the entire lobby, because the only person that's really allowed that gold gain from loose streaking is Zoinhu.
Yep.
And it's one of those strategies that's kind of like a double-edged sword, because you can get to the point where you have all this gold and you're super well economized, but then all of a sudden you have no HP and you die. But at the same time, just putting that pressure on the rest of the lobby, so you're denying them. Well, you're denying them from having a lose streak.
Right.
Instead of having like several people lose streaking and several people win streaking, there's only probably 1 or 2 people that'll be win streaking, and then you're the only one that's lose streaking.
And you're also putting pressure on your opponents to punish you for doing this.
Yeah.
Like the less strong your opponents are when you're trying to transition into a win streak from a lose streak, to have one of those perfect games, just like I believe Land had in the first game. He did that perfectly, and that is because he was able to become strong enough at the time where he was about to transition. But if your opponents are insanely strong at this point, it's going to be really hard. I mean, it's the way it is. It seems like Nudge actually high rolled quite a lot on his items. I think I saw 2 Magicka crystals in the early game. Yeah, he does have 2, both on Argalian Knight, and that really makes sense, because Argalian Knight is one of those units that are perfect for the early game, but doesn't really fit in any comp unless you're going for 6 Knights. So he does put both items on that, because he is suspecting himself to be selling that in the coming rounds.
Yeah, he's got himself a nice start going on right
what
now.
A nice seal.
Of course the Argalian Knight with the Magicka Crystal is super underrated in the starting rounds here. But overall, got himself a nice pair of 2 stars there with the Taboo Witcher as well as the Agrasis Ranger, and can start possibly looking into a Hunter build, because he does have a frontline, and he also has the Agrasis Ranger. So not a bad start for Nuge, the only one at 100% now going into round 7. And if we take a look, actually an early Dragonite, so this might actually change everything.
Yeah, this is the earliest Dragonite I've seen.
Yeah, round 7 Dragonite is no joke. He does have now the double Knight bonus, but at the same time he has
2
human
people
bonus,
actually open forwarding here. This
so
is kind of crazy.
This is a little bit of a kamikaze strategy from Land, in my opinion. You're kind of just hoping that you don't get put up against the other one.
Yeah.
And so far, they're playing a game of chicken.
Right.
to be completely honest. Because we have seen in the past where there was 2 players open forwarding, and the one gets put up against the other. You lose your lose streak, and they're out. It actually happened with Monty in
because
game 3
even
of Group A.
Soinu at this point, I mean, he's already committed into lose streaking, and you can't really start all of a sudden win streaking. That's not how it works. All the other players are trying to win streak. It's not like you can just come back out of nowhere from a single roll, you know?
Well,
so
I kind of have to argue that a little bit, because we did see Nudge in game 1
but he wasn't,
go into a lose streak, and then he leveled,
but he didn't
and came
open
straight
forward.
back from it. True, but I don't think that's necessarily impossible for Zoinhu to change his strategy completely. He's already gained a lot of extra gold from that open fort, where he has an advantage. Now just take that 76% HP and say, okay, this is where I'm going to stop now, and just go straight into something. If you happen to find maybe like a really good shot, just build your team up.
You can start moving into trying to start winning your games again, but it's going to take a couple of rounds to be able to compete with other people that's already been win streaking for a while.
No,
that's
of course,
the issue,
of course.
Right? So in that way, you're already committed.
At the same time, would you rather do that than middle? Because that's basically the other option, right?
I mean, you would prefer not to, but I think you're kind of forced into hoping that won't happen, if you will. So we're gonna see if Soinu or Land is. This seems like they're both still losing at this point. It's an interesting watch, because I think we're gonna see a bit of a structure change for either of the player who gets to face the other, if that even happens at all. They could also not face each other for the entirety of this match, right? Unlikely, but it could happen. Land moving into the Dragon Mages here, supposedly has 2 dragons already, working towards that extra mage with the swords. Only needs a front line really to protect himself.
Picked the short end of the stick here, so
does get the draw.
He is going to lose his streak right now up against Land, especially devastating for him going into round 10 as well. So he's going to lose not just the 3 gold from losing the lose streak, but also another 3 gold potentially from
I think actually
going
the creep
into
round
10.
doesn't take effect of the streaks, right?
You do still gain the extra gold.
Okay, you do.
Yes.
Okay.
But he didn't even gain an extra gold from winning because it was a draw.
Right.
So
yeah,
he just lost 6 gold.
Yeah.
And
it's not
however much exponentially it's going to cost him in the next few rounds here. So he's really got to just say, okay, that's
so Lan was the lucky one.
And
Lan was the lucky one. He was second in to go into a lose streak, right?
Yeah.
And he actually just punished Shoiner for being in the open fort.
Yeah. It
is
is
interesting.
Like I said, a bit of a game of chicken there, and Land definitely won that one.
See if Land can actually defeat these rock columns. I think Soin is going to be fine here with his Heavenly Bomber too. Yeah, this is going to be close. This Winter Sharper is not going to be able to... Might be able to defeat these golems.
Yeah, he's going to get one more hit on it,
yeah,
actually.
At least one golem. So that's okay, actually, for Land. The thing with difference between Soin and Land is that Soin's setup is actually a lot weaker. It's not going to be able to transition as well as Lance. Lance has a better kind of way into a more solid comp at this point, so Land is definitely ahead here in this early game of lose streaking.
Nudge looking really strong right now.
He's so strong.
Just doesn't have the Hunter bonus in yet, which is kind of hindering his ability right now. But once he starts getting that going, I mean, already having double 2-star Aegis Ranger, a 2-star Werewolf at round 11 is actually massive. And if he can also get his 2-star Sniper in the next few rounds, that would be insane.
And even Racing Law is nothing to scoff at. It's a little awkward here that it's so far back so it doesn't get off his bear in the beginning, but I mean,
he's still getting the beast bonus,
is just still solid. And of course adding the beast bonus, but also in itself, it's just not a bad unit. Does lose, however, against Sizzle. Sizzle is unfortunately already out of this tournament. It already only has 2 points after the 2 first games, so not a great day for Sizzle. Kong is the one that has the most health here. Let's have a look at Kong, see what he's working with. Kong is working with that. Yeah, he does have that Sniper 2-star, does have 3 Rangers, does have a really strong unit on its own in a vacuum, which is Phantom Queen. It's just a strong unit this early. One of the few units that deals tons of magic burst, also as an AoE. So nice units to start with for sure. Probably gonna rotate out of it, given that he has 3 hunters, especially with Dwarf Sniper already being upgraded.
Yeah, the 2-star Dwarf Sniper is the main key to Kong's success right now. That's something that we were talking about Nudge having potentially, because he does have the pair of Dwarf Snipers, but the fact that Kong already has that in place is definitely going to give him the upper hand for the next several rounds.
Super strong for sure. No, I totally agree. Actually, there's tons of Hunter players all in top 3, and it does make sense that all of them are in top 3 given how strong they are in the early to mid game.
I haven't seen any Knights players just yet, so maybe we can kind of take a look around.
Through, yeah. It's another Hunter player.
Possibly Knights from Zoinhu. Okay, there's one Knight Glacier with Sweet Pea, possibly Zoinhu, like we said.
Good position to be in also. He's only level 5, however, which is a little awkward, so not the best economized. Let's have tons of, like a few Soul Breakers and a Whisperer Seer on the bench. A little surprised about those. I guess you can always keep the Seer in case you find 2 unicorns, if it's not costing you any gold. You can always keep that over to the next round. I would love to see, however, Land and see how he is transitioning away from his lose streak. He lost a ton of life here this round. Lost 6 full damage here from all the 6 units surviving. Let's see if he can turn this around, because...
Yeah, and the game 1, where Land actually won, he did do it from a lose streak, right?
Yep.
And then he came back. So I would suspect that that's going to be his strategy coming into game 3. What worked for him game 1 will work for him game 3. And that's got to be the mentality going into it. But 28% HP, that's already lower than what he was on game 1. So he's got to start making some moves.
Yeah, and I even think this round he's a little weak to be able to win Yeah, he needs to face one of the least strong opponents. Does face.
I mean,
Sweet
double
Pea.
Winter Cairo Terran, not sure about that. I feel like there's more value on the bench with even just a 1-star
Werewolf, right?
Werewolf.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah,
Unless
he's gonna
he
lose
still
this.
just wants to lose because it is round 14 going into the creep round. That could be what his mindset is. Doesn't need to be that strong, but
As low.
18% HP. This is
scary.
it's already lower than where you ever want to get to,
Yep.
even on a lose streak.
No, for sure.
Even saving that to go into round 15.
So the issue with being this low on a lose streak, even if you do turn around for several rounds, even if you win 7 in a row, for example, the time you lose is going to be such a big issue because you can only lose 1 or 2, maybe if you're lucky, 3 times at this point. So if you don't have that life buffer, even if you're stronger than almost all of your opponents, you might play against one of your opponents that get a little bit better positioning against you, might not necessarily be stronger than you, but do have the better RNG in your fight. They got off their human silence, for example. And then it only takes 1 or 2 of those and then you're out. So that's why you got to turn around a little bit earlier on a higher life total.
He's actually in a really good spot here to power spike because he does have an egg on the bench, so it gives him options. If he rolls down here, gets his 2-star Tortola Elder, possibly a 2-star Doom, and actually takes out the Water Spirit and throws in a Werewolf to get 4 human bonus. I think that would be a really good option for him if he could do that. Probably round 16 because, again, you don't want to lose anymore from here because it's already too much at this
Multiple players being close to Orber Refresh, I believe both Land and Nudge were 1 item away. Could be a big power spike for them. Land seems to... Okay, so he did hit Found the Spirit.
Looks like he's
going
valuing spirits
and 6
over
mages.
4 humans.
Yeah. And I like that, honestly. I think 4 humans are worse in the early game. You need that burst to just burst your opponent down, especially before they start getting 3 stars. And especially units that can crowd control, right? It's not so important to silence your opponent, it's more important to burst them down, especially when they have a lower health pool at this point. But I would like for him to have 4 humans, for sure, like in the near future. But for now, I think the Water Spirit is a little stronger. And it is paramount for him that he doesn't lose here. He can't lose for many, many rounds.
Yeah. He can't lose until there's about 4 other people that are already out.
Basically, yeah, basically. It's a scary position to be in, and there's really no room for mistake at this point. We see actually Nudge on top of the standings here again, so having a great game is kind of showing his prowess that he showed us during the qualifiers. Actually just barely winning that lobby, but still very impressive to win the European qualifier.
Yeah, I think he's in a really good spot here going into Game 3 with the point standings. He just has to have a solid game, and he should be in a good situation to move on to tomorrow. We do have Sweet Pea, the lone level 6 player right now compared to the entire lobby. I was taking a look at Zoinhu again, just want to make sure I kept an eye on his leveling, and he did end up going to level 7 on curve, round 17, so nothing nothing out of the ordinary there. Right, correct.
Yeah, I think there was only that one game where he stayed at 5 and tried to level for those knights and then went up pretty quickly to the other level.
Yeah, he might have got a little bit behind or rolled down too much where he couldn't gain that interest back in order to stay on
Or
the
had too
curve
much
anymore.
of an expensive bench, for example.
Yeah.
One of those two. So Sweet Pea actually has a tons of Silver Blade Knights. He's only 1 away from a 3-star, only 1 away from a 3-star Defector if he chooses to use the egg for that, which I don't think he will, but pretty close to a Defector also. Does need 2 more if he doesn't want to use the egg. Kind of in a middling position here. He doesn't have a great economy, has about half in life in terms of this lobby. So, not looking fantastic for Sweet Pea. He really needs to find this Light Blade Knight before, so he can start saving up some more money again.
Yeah, up against Nudge WK right now, and just trying to get past that God of War front line.
Not gonna happen. This War Sniper is too much.
A couple players actually picking up God of War in this round, which
it?
actually he does get past the God of War with the Hell Knight and the.
I wonder what items that Hell Knight
damage
has, because it was surviving for such a long time, actually. Let's have a look here. Okay, so it does have a Jade Pipe and a Halide plate mail. Oh, sorry, steel plate mail. So that does make sense because that made it so that the Light Blade Knight could actually cleave down the back line, and he was able to get that win against Nudge, who's leading this lobby at 81% and 50 gold.
So rolling down to 22 gold here, and yeah, again, still just looking for that Light Blade Knight. He ended up giving up on one of his units. I believe it was the Frost Knights that he ended up just giving up on, which definitely makes sense because he's so close to a defected 3-star. Actually, pretty close to a Desperate Doctor 3-star. I think he's actually just got one on the board, so scratch that. So still kind of far away from that. Just looking, like you said, for that main extra Light Blade Knight to give him that pretty big power spike. I don't think he's in the worst position. I think if he hits it probably after this creep round, he should be just fine. But any longer than that, then yeah, with no interest, economy, it will be hard for him.
Let's have a look at Misspiece. I think it's the leader of our lobby currently. I believe he has 2 third places, if I'm not mistaken. And he's actually going for the Beast Warrior. Okay, looking quite... He does have the Fallen Witcher also in there. So we could see another Warrior Fallen Witcher game. He doesn't have a Taboo Witcher so far, however, so that's a little awkward. That's something you definitely want to add together with that Taboo Witcher. But yeah, interesting to see that kind of happen possibly again. It's more than I've seen in competitive gaming for a long time. 3 games in one day, that's crazy.
Yeah, I think it works really well with the Beast Warrior synergy because you're either going to add in, you know, a Wormy Boy or Poisonous Worm. I always default to Wormy Boy. I don't know why. I apologize. But you know, you either add in a Poisonous Worm, but in this case, he already has 2 beasts, so he doesn't really need to. So instead, he ends up going with that 2-star Fallen Witcher, which is providing a ton of extra damage.
Super nice in this setup, especially because it has tons of tanks. You can actually tank for Fallen Witcher. It does have the beast bonus, so that does give it extra percentage damage, which is of course super nice if you already have tons of damage. Additionally, some of the warriors actually are pretty good at crowd controlling your opponent, so that also helps. And if you get a Siren also, that adds additional crowd control and that Marine bonus, which is detrimental to kind of protect your Fallen Witcher to do what he does best, and that is basically nuking down your opponents.
For example, he does have the Red Axe Chief right next to his
exactly
Fallen Witcher, so it takes the aggro off of him.
Yeah, so they deal some damage to the Fallen Witcher, and then Red Axe Chief gets his mana for his ult, and it pulls him kind of off of him, so that's kind of the perfect duo, if you will, at least in the mid game.
Yeah. Works very nicely, and you might see him eventually transition out of it, but unless you can get a 3-star Fallen Witcher, it actually might not be the worst thing in the world.
And land still at 18%. Doesn't have much of an economy, however, but it does have all the upgrades that it needs. Doesn't have a Dragonite, however, so he does go with the Venom instead. Kind of had to move around a little bit here, do something different. I mean, and this is what you gotta do. You gotta think on the fly in this game. Sometimes you're just not gonna find the Dragonite. That just happens, you know, and then you gotta do something else, and you can't really be waiting either, especially if you're only at 18% HP, being the lowest player on HP in this lobby.
Yeah, we've seen a lot of people not cornering their Tortola Elders, and I'm not sure if I really still agree with that or not. I feel like that's just the best place to put him, period. Especially more so than potentially a Flaming Wizard in the corner, because it might take her a little bit longer to, you know, get her ult off, so that way she can start attacking much faster. So it's just kind of interesting to see the playstyles over the different countries. So, but at the same time, yeah, land looking decent right now. Looking for a comeback.
Yeah, it'd be crazy if he did this again. He doesn't have as good of an economy this time, but I do think he's going to start saving now. I don't think he's going to move in using his money in a while, because he's kind of far away from any big upgrade. I mean, sure, he's close to Winter Sharofra run at this point, but it's not really that important of an upgrade, so I think he'd rather wait and then maybe exchange his Water Spirit at some point for maybe Dark Spirit or another frontliner.
Yeah, remember we talked about Land just trying to stay on a win streak until 4 players or 3 or 4 players got out before him? Well, he's kind of caught up in HP to Mistpiece, Zoinhu, and Sizzle now that are kind of falling below him at this point. Not quite yet, but yeah, there goes 2 out of the 3 for sure. So Zoinhu and Mistpiece now dropping down to severely low HP. Zoinhu, one that has an opportunity to get back into tomorrow's matches and move on, but with a 7th or 8th finish here, it would kind of put him out of contention, unfortunately.
Yeah, one Hell Knight away here to kind of hopefully secure his city. It does find it. It does sell tons of units to find it because it's kind of desperate at this point. He's kind of feeling he's on the cusp of being eliminated, and well, there's so many other players also being on the cusp. It's so important to get an additional upgrade now and not later. You don't want to lose any more life, especially if there's other players that are close to being kicked out, especially since this is the last game, right?
Yeah.
Like if you just can hold on for a little longer in comparison to other players, it's going to be huge. And we can see how big this Hell Knight is. It's going to just save him so much life. He does lose this round, but he would have been almost dead this round if he didn't have that. So big for him. Mistpiece does lose against Zoinhu, so important for that reason also.
Mistpiece is in contention as well, so if Mistpiece goes out 8, that would be pretty devastating for Mistpiece, also devastating for Zoinhu. But if Land does come back, that would be pretty cool to see. Sizzle at this point just kind of knocking people out for the heck of it for him, you know. So it is taking away points, though, crucial points from those that are actually really in need of it for moving on from tomorrow.
For sure. Yeah, Sweet Pea and Nudge looking really good in this lobby. Both of them have a good amount of points before this last round, so they must be feeling really good about kind of trying to secure themselves in tomorrow's games. And under that, it's anybody's game for the 2 last slots, I think. I'll be surprised if Sweet Pea and Nudge kind of loses from here. They both have tons of life and a pretty good bank at this point, while most of the other players have kind of rolled down or used that gold to level. Sweet Pea is not level 8 though, however, so he's got to invest in that also. But yeah, Sweet Pea is actually really close to a lot of upgrades also.
Close to upgrades, but honestly not looking as strong as I thought they were.
Oh, and when he does go up to 8 here, does sell a pair of... What did he sell there? Does roll down here after he gone up to 8. Does find an egg here. He's going to use it for Soul Reaper. He does. That really makes sense here to kind of cement himself in the top 4. I do like this. Oh wow, that's a God of War 3 from Kong. It's gonna be so good for him. So he's gonna... Is he gonna win this round? It's gonna be close.
Yeah, the God of War 3-star is actually doing a ton of damage. And right now it's the highest DPS unit on his team, even without Divinity bonus, which is pretty insane. It just shows you how important. We haven't seen too much God of War play.
Mistpiece actually goes out here at 8th place. Think that's gonna eliminate him from the... No, wait, hold on. Wasn't he in 1st place before this? He had like 16 points, didn't he? 12 points.
Yeah, but
so he might be on the cusp.
A huge buffer.
Yeah.
So
that's true.
At this point, anything could happen.
Yeah, right. We talked about before 12 points was usually enough to get into top 4, but in this lobby that is this close, it might not be the case. Like, there's 2 players that are they're dead, right? They have 2 and 0 points, I think, or something like that. 2 and 4 or whatever. They're dead, right? But the top 6 after that, they're so close next to each other. So 12 might not be enough this time.
But at this point, Mistpiece doesn't want Sizzle and Zoinhu to go out right now.
No.
If they do, that's going to put a huge damper on Mistpiece's plan.
He wants the top 4 to be Nudge, Sweet Pea, Sizzle, and was Yang the 2nd last place? No, was it Seinu?
Zoinhu is actually 7th. Or 6th.
So Seinu does go out at 7th here.
So Zoinhu does actually take 7th, which is not good for Mistpiece. Not good for Mistpiece. I don't know exactly how the math shakes out.
Let's have a look at Zoinhu's positioning going out 7th here.
Zoinhu's already out, but we'll see how much points he has.
Zoinhu was out before this.
He's got like 8 points.
8
correct.
points. Son has 8 points, so he's definitely out of the top 4. Look, who's the bottom 2 players? It's
Sizzle.
and Yang. Right. So Yang, okay, Yang actually has 5 points, so you can definitely get in there if he does win this round. It goes up to 14, and that should be enough to get into the next day, most likely.
Yeah, Misspiece going out last kind of shook so many things up.
Yeah, that made everything
For
different.
a lot of people.
No, for sure. Yeah, 12 might not be enough here. It might be the bubble boy coming 5th.
Yeah, it might actually come down to a tiebreaker, but possibly not something that Misspiece would win. Actually, could win. I'm sorry, Misspiece could win that. So I don't know. We could talk about this and kind of go over it, but at this point, it's kind of still up in the air. Sizzle hanging on with 7% HP. Kong 14% HP.
Right.
Land hasn't budged from 18%
that's perfect.
since he finished
Went
lose
up to
streaking.
9. Yeah.
So yeah, he's kind of playing
He's
that
really
lose
good
streak
at
into win
playing the
streak.
lose streak. He's
Very
just
well.
really good at it. Yeah.
Being aggressive when he needs to, using the
sure.
gold and keeping it as much as he possibly can and building
For
a strong
sure.
team around it. So very nice to see Land, again, another South Korean player trying to live up to the legacy. He has 10 points currently right now, which is,
Right.
I believe, tied for second with two other players.
Yep.
If I'm not mistaken, yeah. So 2 other players. So with a strong finish from here, that would put him well over Misspiece.
Yeah,
obviously.
I think he only needs to take 5th, right, to be locked and loaded. Could even go 6th.
Right,
to
but
win.
I'm saying if he wants to get first and kind of join the club with
Oh,
Wasana
with the
and
Koreans,
Jinsu.
right.
Yeah.
Right, okay. So I guess the Koreans can still flex. That's true. Yeah.
It would be actually pretty cool to see
So
him.
Sizzle
do it for
almost
sure.
going out here. Of course, the thing with Sizzle here is that it still matters what he positions himself for the overall standings. He himself is not going to be in no matter what. But the higher he comes, the more points he kind of takes from the other players that are still remaining, the more important it's going to be for Misspiece, that are hoping for dear life that some of the bubble boys aren't going to catch up to him.
Yeah, and still Nudge with a pretty dominant HP lead right now at 72%. Sweet Pea slowly trickling down at 38. Land, again, not budging. Yang, Kong, and Sizzle now on the chopping block. We do have round 30 creep round, and possibly we could take a look at the items being tossed around to the field here.
All right, so Nudge actually has that mask. Yeah, he has. Oh wow, he has so many good items. It's unbelievable. He actually high roll really high here with his item. Yeah, Nudge is good. Nudge is good. I think Nudge is gonna. I'll be surprised if he doesn't win. Maybe he comes second. But yeah, I think he's gonna win this round. Sizzle does find an Abyss Guard 3-star here, so maybe he can stay in this game for a while longer, which is what really Misspiece is really hoping for. He wants Sizzle and Yang to do as good as possible.
Yeah, Misspiece is Sizzle's biggest fan right now. For
Yeah,
sure.
exactly. And he also wants Yang to do moderately well, but not the best, if you will. He wants Yang to get 6 points, right? That's what he wants. That would be perfect. Then Yang goes up to 11.
Your EU math is probably better than mine, so I'm going to say that yes, that's exactly what he wants.
Oh, and Kong actually does go out here. That's only gonna give him 2 points, I believe.
Yeah, so that's
For
actually
being
scary for
fifth.
Kong.
Or sixth,
so
I mean.
I believe he's now tied with Misspiece on
12 points?
at 12.
Yeah. So that
Correct.
might be down to a tiebreaker. That actually makes it even more interesting.
Might be a tiebreaker for Kong and Misspiece.
Yeah,
actually.
if they're 4th and 5th, that is.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. They're both at 12 points at this
Could
point.
shake out to that as it stands. Nudge looking at possibly a first place finish as well as land
Nudge
at the
is
same
looking
time
really good.
too. So it depends on how this finishes out.
How about Sweet Pea? What's Sweet Pea's point status
Yeah,
right now?
we haven't taken a look at Sweet Pea for a while actually.
Yeah, let's have a look at Sweet Pea's. And he has 10 points currently, so he finally found his 3-star Defector and that Lightblade Knight, so looking a lot stronger. Lightblade Knight actually does get locked in the beginning of the round from that item, so big start for Land here, trying to deal damage to Sweet Pea, which he... as the 2 carries are still left, let's see if Lightblade Knight can indeed solo all 3 of these. He might be able to, knowing Lightblade Knight. He does get stunned, however, by the second ship of that Pirate Captain, so not going to be enough. Losing here, and Sizzle is out, thus playing against Sweet Pea, being pretty strong here in this lobby, so no surprise there really. But yeah, Sweet Pea has 10 points right now. So I think, yeah, Sweet Pea is in for sure, right?
Yeah,
now that it's down to top 4.
Yeah, Sweet Pea's in for sure. It's just a matter of placement for Sweet Pea. And
Land should be also, right?
Is in, and Land is also in.
Yeah.
Yang?
It's a nice comeback for Land in this game.
Have a chance. Okay.
Yeah. Yang can, if he has 5 points, so if he takes second place, it's actually gonna be triple tie. It's gonna be a triple tiebreaker for 4th place. So that would be really interesting. If he wins, he's in for sure. Nudge is already in, Sweet Pea is already in, and Land is already in. So all of these 3 players are in. So the important part, what matters here, is, well, the second most important thing that could happen is if
Land
Yang comes
going out here.
Oh, so Land going out. I was about to say the most important thing is seeing whether Land is gonna join his brethren defeating his group, but he's not. So then the second most important thing, which is really the most important thing, let's be real, is gonna see where Yang places himself here. If he comes second, that's gonna be a triple tie for 4th. And 4th,
he needs it for a chance.
He needs it for a chance. And if he wins, he's in for sure. If it's out in 3rd place, he's out. Then it's gonna be a 2-way tie between Miss Peace, I believe, and Kong. Is that right? Yeah, Kong.
The only thing is though that Miss Peace has a win.
Right, he does have a win. Kong does not.
No, he does not have a win. A 3rd place.
A 3rd place, and Kong...
2 3rd places is actually what it was. So he was in 1st place going into this round.
Yeah, you're right.
He's
Mr. Consistent, isn't he? Yeah.
Right, Mr. Consistency. Yang going out here, unfortunately, so that is going to be
eliminating
him from the tournament. But nice push at the very end there to try to give himself a chance.
Making it interesting.
And possibly, so man, that was super close for Yang. Sweet Pea and Nudge WK also now officially in. But Nudge trying to clench himself as the #1 player from his seed. Still at this point, 68% HP left, 40 gold interest, playing the half Hunter Marine build at the moment. So he's got 4 Marines, and against Sweet Pea being a Knights Glacier player.
Yeah, maybe not the best.
Yeah, it's a yeah.
And this is the second time that Nudge goes into a questionable form Marine.
It is.
He has been doing well both times, however. I mean, 3 of them are really good for his setup, honestly. I mean, Abyssal Guard, it does complete the warrior bonus. Both the other 2 Marines here, Tsunami Stalker and Siren, they do complete the Hunter bonus, right? So both pretty important. I mean, he does have 4 Hunters
He tosses
currently.
the Abyssal Crawler aside.
Smart idea.
And what we talked about last game, him not doing, is exactly what he's doing this game, rolling down and trying to just force Sweet Pea out. Just trying to finish this game,
he's only level 8 also, so it's a golden opportunity, really. I would have loved for him to find an Evil Knight instead of that Razor Claw.
Yeah.
And then he has 4 Aggresses, and that would be insane.
And against Knights, that's way better than 4 Marine, for sure.
You could say that again, my friend.
And against Knights, it's way better than 4 Marines, for sure.
Well, you did. You succeeded in saying it again. I congratulate you. Alright, so he does crush Sweet Pea on his side of the board, and, well, same thing on Sweet Pea's side of the board. I think this is only going to be a matter of time, really, before Sweet Pea is getting kicked out. He's only level 8. He does find 2 more Ghost Prophets, so the dream is real. I think he should put that in instead of the Razor Claw if he wants to use his egg for this turn. Just finish off Sweet Pea as fast as possible.
Having a little llama farm over here.
Does have an egg in play also. Let's see if it's going to come down to a good old egg battle. Does put in that extra Ghost Prophet, so I do like that instead of the Razor Claw.
Oh, he actually has
okay. He
7 Ghost Prophets.
He does, yeah, he's only 2 away. But yeah, I do think that Sweet Pea's definitely going to lose this run also. Question is by how much? How
Those
much
Ghost
more time
Prophets are
does he
actually
have?
just draining the HP.
Yeah, it's just crushing his opponent here. So taking 12 damage, almost out here. on the cusp of getting removed.
2% HP.
Yeah, and we're pretty far away from the creep round, so I think this is going to be Sweet Pea's last hurrah. Could maybe go up to level 9 to increase his chances a little bit, but not just at level 10. And he has two-star Ghost Prophets. Is just too far away to be catched at this point.
Yeah, Sweet Pea sitting on 28 gold as well. Possibly too far away to level.
That's
possibly
fine.
too far away to roll down as well. So just hoping that he can get through this round without a scratch, and then potentially going up next round.
Let's put in that Racing Law 2-star at this point. Yeah, this is gonna be over here. Notch is actually gonna claim yet another first position, so crushing it here in his group. Very impressive.
Almost the most dominant display of finishes
for sure.
out of all the groups so far.
Yeah, did the same thing in the European qualifiers, so Notch showing how to do it here. Super impressive.
Yeah, and I don't think we've had another player today who has gotten first twice.
Nope.
Yeah.
But I have to say it's a little embarrassing he got 6th in the first match.
Yeah, that's
Come on,
shameful.
dude.
Come on.
How do you win the second match and the third match, but then you get 6th in the first match?
I know.
Actually, from a professional
Clearly embarrassing.
question to you experts, like, can you break that down a little bit? Like, what happened to him? Like, how does he go from 6th to first? Like, what went so wrong in the first match?
I think he high rolled some items on the
And
two
how does
games
he
he
avoid
won.
that, like, going forward, you know? Like,
You just high roll items.
He was a
Just
little
high roll
lucky
items
with
every game.
he was a little lucky with the items, but and there's definitely some kind of RNG there going into that. But I mean, sometimes there's different types of RNG, right? You can get the items, you can high roll the right things. Maybe you only get the units that are not the best in this current lobby. Maybe you get like Beast Warriors when everybody has a counter to Beast Warriors. Just for example.
I feel like he did
There's
play-
also some like there's clearly a bunch of play skills to it also. So
He played a little bit more aggressive, though,
Yeah.
on game 1 and 3 than he did on game 2. And if I'm not mistaken, I think he went into a lose streak game 2.
well,
And I
he
think
won game 2 and 3, right?
yes.
Game
no,
1.
he won.
He won game 2 and 3.
Yeah, so game 1, the one that he got 6th.
Yeah.
That's when he lose streaked.
That's when that is when he lose streaks as
Yeah,
well.
he crushed both game 2 and 3. He's really good at playing when he's ahead.
Yeah, he was like 100. He
especially.
was 100%.
We saw
almost
that
the whole
from the
time.
qualifiers,
Yeah.
especially. He was very good at analyzing the early game and then pushing that advantage the entire
You know,
match.
one thing that people have said about him is that he is a one-trick Dragon Mage player, or just Mage player in general.
Right.
So seeing him
Yeah, I
kind
didn't really
of
see
break
that
out of
today.
that
So
shell.
now
He's
so
a
you-
one-trick hunter player.
Exactly. I was about
And not
to
only
say.
that, like, we didn't have that much success from our European region today.
No, we
Sorry,
did not.
sorry, Scoundrel. Wherever you, I see him over there. Actually, he didn't hear me. But I mean, Nudge. He like was as dominating as he could be in his group.
Yeah.
Representing the European region.
Yep.
On a day when Europe has not been doing well. So that's got to bode well for any European fans out there, and honestly for us, that's great.
Him and
We have-
Seiko.
Well, yeah, Seiko.
Yeah, Seiko
took
and him
second.
looking really strong.
Yeah. So
with a tie.
Yeah.
Tie
so
for
the
first.
tie from what just happened here, from the round we just saw.
Seiko and his group tied
Oh, I
in
see what you're
first.
saying. Yeah,
But it
Seiko
was
also the
second on
European
time.
Right.
Yeah, so he's looking really strong from the Europe.
Yes, that's
Europe
true.
also.
So a couple heroes for the European guys, but the earlier two matches, earlier two groups did
Not so
not
much.
go as well. Here we see the match results, and I think we concluded that we do have a tiebreaker, right?
Yeah, I do think so.
Between Kong and Miss Peace. So
Almost a three-way
drum
tie.
rolls here because I think it's going to be revealed in a second here who actually will move on, and it's a huge deal because you're going from $4,000 to $8,000.
And potential
And here
for
we go.
more. And
It's going to be
is in.
Kong. Look at that.
Yeah,
tie for 4th and 5th.
There
Wow,
we go.
that's heartbreaking for Miss Peace going
Yeah.
into game 3 as the number
Wow.
one
Yeah,
overall
that's so
player
rough.
and not making
He's gonna
it through.
beat
That's a good
himself
point.
up about this
Eighth
afterwards.
place. Just,
gonna
he just got
stink.
last. If
Yeah.
he doesn't get last,
That's it.
He's
He's
in.
in.
Yeah. I mean, we talked about that
crazy.
12 points have almost always been secure.
we were hyping
and
him up. We're like,
Yeah,
And
And
Yang,
almost all of
Yang
the-
only 1 point away as well.
That's crazy because 12 points has always almost been enough for all of the other groups, right? for fourth place.
Yeah,
It's been very
yeah,
safe, and
yeah.
here we can even see it being a two-way tie. That's kind of crazy.
20
And
points from
Must
Nudge,
feel even more unfortunate. So
It had to have been a little spooky for Land also.
true.
Like,
Yeah. Well, he knew
got
what he was
first,
doing. I mean,
and then he
clearly-
got last,
Yeah.
and then he was actually in last for a little bit there.
Yeah.
I'm sure his
80%.
heart was beating.
It is the way he came first the first time, though.
Right.
He started last. He clearly he's very good at lose streaking. He know what he's doing. Like he didn't lose after he started
Dramatic.
winning
Dramatic.
Until he
You
did.
need to get
until he did.
you need to get heartbeat monitors.
Yeah.
For these guys.
Well, he's calm as a cobra.
Think so?
Yeah,
I think he
so.
is super calm. in
It
that
seems
last
like
game.
he has done this before.
What do you think about Lucky? Like, was her heart beating? Like,
Yeah, that
during
was a
the-
little bit more shaky, probably. I mean, at least if you were watching the hand.
Yeah, that was
emotion
crazy.
was nice. That's just the way it should be.
Yeah, I mean, we're at this point we're kind of recapping the day because
Yeah.
we are done.
Yeah, that's
We
it.
we went live I think at 10 a.m. local time. It is now I believe 9:30 p.m. 9:30 p.m. local time, which is approximately 11 and a half hours of broadcast. So anyone who has been hanging out this whole time, you're pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Go get some sleep because you need to get back here tomorrow. Don't even watch the rest of the show right now. We're done with the games. Come back tomorrow and check us out. What time are we live tomorrow? I'll probably get that heard in my ear.
1
It's a little
p.m.
bit later tomorrow
Yeah.
and then a little bit later the next day.
Right.
But
Because
man,
there's less games, right? Fewer
yeah,
groups.
yes. So we're
Best
going to
of
the
four now.
semifinals tomorrow and then the finals next day. Best of fours tomorrow.
Yep.
2 groups.
Yep. So 8 games tomorrow. It's gonna be good.
So we're going to take a look at the groups. We're going to go group by group here to see how everything panned out. What a day. And the
Yeah.
thing is like it's a long day. It's kind of grueling, but it's been a ton of fun because there's so
Right.
much action. Here we see Group A. We had Osana, our first South Korean player
21
on the
points.
stage.
That's
Just
big.
Oh, so he did win twice.
Right.
Okay. So we had at least 2 players win twice, him and Nudge.
Also a 6th place finish, right?
Right.
3 points, yeah.
Yeah?
It's true.
Wow.
Impressive.
It's a lot of
No.
points.
That
That's
would be
fifth.
5th.
That's
Yeah.
fifth, yeah.
Still, yeah. And here we see Group B, Jinsu, the South Korean player, 22
this-
points at the top.
Group also 12 points would have been enough. So.
Yeah, and Tutu had a win, a pretty cool game actually. His win in Game 2
Oh, yeah.
with the Fallen Witcher.
Yep.
Very cool to see. But then he got last, and that ended up being his downfall in the final game there. Here we see Group C, Archdevil at the top, tied with Psycho, as you mentioned, German player
Right.
from Europe. One of 2 from the region, I believe, that will be advancing forward. And there we see Nudge there at the top. 20 points that we just saw in Group D, followed by Sweet Pete, Land, and of course that tiebreak between Kong and Miss Peace.
Yeah.
Our only significant tiebreak that actually is the difference between going home and advancing to tomorrow. As you can see, our 4 groups of action that we saw today, 4 best of 3s, groups A, B, C, and D. Top 4 advancing. And look, guys, look what we're seeing in the best
the
of
groups.
4.
The
We
groups
see our
over here.
groups. We
Wow.
see our groups. These are our groups that will be happening tomorrow.
Let's have a look. Are these?
Give me your initial thoughts, guys. Let's see here.
My initial thoughts are there are so many good players that didn't make it out of today.
It's unbelievable,
That
actually.
I am shocked. I'm actually shocked that there's some names that aren't on the list. But I mean, hats off to the players that are on the list. I
So it
mean, we
seems
have
like-
Hosanna. Those 2 Korean players now are actually going to face off against each other, Hosanna and Jinsu.
Yep.
And then on Group B, we have Nudge.
Yeah, Nudge,
And Nudge is going up against Seiko again. And Seiko, earlier on, before Group D started, he said, I don't want to be up against Nudge in
And we can
in
see why,
tomorrow's
right?
games.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
so we
would-
can see 2 of the first players in both of the groups being split between the groups.
And then, you
So
know,
it seems like
Nudge-
it's top and bottom seed.
And then we have Nudge and Psycho, of course, both in the same group, which is
Yeah.
That's exactly.
pretty interesting there.
Exactly.
I just got some info on when we start tomorrow and some time zone stuff that I am going to try to remember. Can be difficult. I believe we start at 1 p.m. local time tomorrow, local Shanghai time, and I believe that is 1 a.m. on the United States East Coast, which means that would be midnight on Central Time.
Yep.
And -2
10.
is 10
AM.
Oh, you're really good at this.
I know. See all this math? All this
It's
math
very
I've been doing today
impressive,
has been
Yeah.
and then get this in Europe, 7 a.m. I believe. I'm
Was that off the
getting,
cuff?
I'm getting help.
Oh, okay.
I'm getting help.
Oh.
I'm getting a little bit of help. Some of
It's
those are
fine.
off the cuff though. I don't want to be, but yeah. So we have a lot still to look forward to, guys. Before we wrap up here, any final thoughts on the day and what you're looking forward to tomorrow?
I'm excited to see the Korean players face off against each other and the European players face off against each other. Kind of the rivalries, but at the same time, teammates.
For sure.
At the end of the day, right? So those are something to look out for. And Shredded also, one of the content creators that is moving on now as well. A longtime friend of mine that I've known for quite some time. So would like to see him continue to
do well,
move on as well. Yeah, do well.
Yeah, and that is going to be interesting to see some of the players clashing. Thinking of the meta game for tomorrow, it's going to be interesting to see how this kind of evolves. It's a little bit more aggressive meta game where people are pushed to roll a little bit earlier. People are pushed to using money earlier. It doesn't go as long as it has previously. Not too many 9 beasts today, right? And that's going to be interesting to see what happens. I would love to see the 3 warrior front line with Dragon Mages in the back. We haven't seen that from last patch, and I would love to see a return of that. Maybe we'll see it happen, maybe not, but we'll have to see tomorrow, I guess.
Yeah, and I think it's always really fun to talk about prize pools. Everyone who went home today goes away with $4,000. Not too bad. Everyone who advances to tomorrow gets at least $8,000. And if you're able to advance to Sunday, if you're able to finish in the top 4 tomorrow, you're earning yourself $18,000. Minimum if you make it on into Sunday. So lots to look forward to here at the 2019 Auto Chess Invitational. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in. $1 million prize pool, and we're counting it all down this weekend, today, tomorrow, and Sunday. Stay tuned all weekend long. This has been Axel Toss, joined by Claytano and Yoel Larson. Also, we've had Cameron Davis and Excoundrel up here on the broadcast. Big thanks to the production crew. We got 2 more days to go here. Hour 11 and some change. We're done with day 1. See you tomorrow.